meow, 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 meow. Just saying hello to the podcasts. Anyway, we're back with Twin Humanities episode 79 and The Surge. I'm Coffee Jesus. This is...
Sorry, that hurt.
This is...
Hi, I'm Paddy, suffering from a migraine from that previous joke.
Meow, 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 meow. In joke, me and the podcasts. Since last time...
Give up, fuck this. 36-second episode, here we go.
What would you prefer? Coffee's beans? Ginger's nuts?
I can't.
Right, a
strong start, this one.
What, you mean the one that you've derailed because you're just like, oh my god, oh my god.
You never prep me on any of this shit. You just throw it at me and expect me to carry on like everything's fine.
This is how this show works. Because otherwise I'd be like, Patrick, prep something and join me. And you'd be like, say what now? Yeah.
Look, man.
Have you not derailed the start of this show already?
I think it's you. I don't think it was on the rails to start with. There we go. It's in the gutter by the side of the train station.
The podcasts understand. Last time in The Surge, which we will be covering again, along with The Surge 2, which we will be covering again. Back then we were running through the opening area and you'd beaten the boss, I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
You told me there was a spaceman that I'd not seen and there was a reason for that. Because I hadn't plugged in that free DLC yet.
Yeah.
But we were both just tickling into the second level, which is Central Production B.
Mm. I think you'd popped into Creo World a little bit at this point as well. Had you not?
No, I'd watched some
We've talked about it, though.
Yeah, I'd watched some of Co's stream. And when I was interested in going into the Surge, and I was looking it up, I saw that there was a theme park and was just curious on the one hand to see if the DLC was any good, and on the other hand, kind of what it was like. And I think that was one of the moments where I became really, really taken with the game. But yeah, I did my research, mate. That's what I do.
Oh, what's that?
But yeah, it was nice to look into that sort of stuff on a level of like viewership and just through getting some facts that made me go, oh, okay. But then playing it, and I'd say this about the entire game, is a very different proposition. So we chatted about the two DLCs, A Walk in the Park, where you wander into theme park Creo World, and The Good, the Bad, and the Augmented, where an inventor builds a Wild West lair based on his favourite TV show, which has been cancelled.
Yeah, that's spot
on. So yeah, we'd sort of skimmed across this within our massive sandwich of the last episode, but I don't think either of us were quite prepared as to just how much it was going to sort of take over everything.
I literally have put 4 games on the back burner to get through this.
Yeah?
I put Hollow Knight down for like 2 weeks to get through this. And I'm really enjoying Hollow Knight tremendously. I've ignored the Crash Team Racing event where you can get some cool, unique stuff because I've been playing this like shit.
I've not played a game like this for so long at a stretch of time, and then repeatedly with this much momentum for a long time, and there's been so much that's just plain gotten under my skin. Just to the TLDR, the story's fantastic, and to say that it's much smaller in scope than something like a Dark Souls 3, which spiraled out of all into madness with the amount of levels that there were. It's concise. It just feels well constructed. And
6 really good levels.
And then you've got the two DLCs.
Yeah. But like well chunked off, and every level is well designed, and there's stuff going on, and each one tells its own little story. It's good.
you can't take a level for granted either, because there are so many points where something story-wise happens, and you can go back into a level, even if you think that level might be inconsequential. But it feels like it feels curated, and it feels that I'll go into this later, but it feels like there's certain things that happened at certain points where I literally was swearing at the screen, then I was grabbing my phone and I was swearing at you in DM. And
I remember that.
I just didn't expect it, and I don't know why games condition me that things are going to change. And I think there's almost a little bit of a Resident Evil 2 about it in that regard. And that's a lovely flavour.
Almost like the scenario in the zone has adjusted as you change things.
Yes,
it feels nice that the world reacts to what you do.
Yeah, it feels like the story itself has, excuse me, has given you a story beat per se, but I thought that was purely momentum in the story. I didn't quite expect the levels to be reacting as they've been doing. And even levels I've passed, it's not like, oh, well, this is what's happening in the story, and then you go into the next level and, oh, the story continues. Because if you're going back into previous levels, it's like stuff has changed. Changed.
When they say, so-and-so is happening, it happens everywhere.
Yeah, and
it's great. I love when games that, you don't just forget about the early zones, because you're kind of... I would say it's quite a backtracky game. You tend to go through the same areas a few times, and it keeps it fresh and keeps it interesting, I think.
I don't particularly mind that.
No, I love it. I'm not complaining. I think it's a great because it feels like a place. You don't just going to go to building 1, building 2, building 3, and the end of the game. No, you would kind of cut back across things and see things again, wouldn't you? I mean, Central Production B, probably the second area, but the first proper area.
Yeah.
You cut back and through it across that about 4 times, don't you, across the course of the game? You go in and out of it.
Yeah.
It feels like it's central.
And whilst there are conceits to bring you back, they don't seem a lot of the time things that you have to do. That I'm on the cusp of the final boss now, and I've decided to just go back through all of it and see the stuff that I've missed. And there is cool stuff there.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to go, do you know what? I need to grind for tech scrap, which is the equivalent of souls. I need to grind for tech scrap. And if you do want to go back to those areas, new stuff's happened. There will be things that have been hidden from you, which you'll go, oh, I think there were some of those areas that were blocked off from me that I think I can get to now. Oh, that's inside. And that's inside. And even if you are sort of doing the grind for tech scrap, you still got Wild West land that you can go into, get a bollock load of stuff, and it's cool stuff as well. Plus you can earn loads of tech stuff, and it gives you momentum to keep revisiting because you can build up those outfits as well. So if you're wandering through the game and it's not enough that you're walking through as some sort of giant donut man, you're like, well, I could look like a Native American metal wolf. That might be my aesthetic. Or you can get cowboy hats.
Some sort of top-hatted Undertaker.
Yeah, oh God, I got that tonight.
It's a good outfit, isn't it?
I got that tonight. It's literally it's a top hat with like a completely dark sort of
mask,
woolen mask underneath, but with bright white eyes.
Think like steampunk Vivi from Final Fantasy.
I also got the thing, and I didn't know if this was me missing a trick throughout the entire game, but when you build up a set of armour, you get the kind of undergear to match it when you've built a full set. And I think that's why I've got the a few of those sort of boiler suits.
Is that where they come from? Because I thought you get them just arbitrarily every now and again when you upgrade your rigs. I don't know what's been triggered them. Because
tonight I started building. I wanted to build some of the bits that I got from the Wild West DLC, and it came up on the screen that building a complete set will give you garments that you can change on your rig.
Yeah, I think
So-
this might just be the Wild West DLC.
Because I built the metal wolf one and went back to the med bay, and instead of wearing there are a number of boiler suits that are there, and mostly I'm wearing kind of this white pleather sort of tight outfit with
Gimp outfit.
No, it's not a gimp outfit.
It's a bit gimpy.
It's not at all. Just because you're wearing the equivalent of boot-cut jeans but in a boiler suit.
How dare you?
It's true though, isn't it?
How dare you? I'm
Yes.
wearing the one you're about to talk about.
So yeah, I built this metal wolf outfit, and I was like, right, let's see what's back at the med bay, and essentially you have red makeup across your shoulders and chest, and you've got a bare top, and then kind of Native American kind of trousers and boots. Mm-hmm. Is that pretty
With that
much
cool sort of flappiness and like some arm bits as well? Like it's good. And then when you put on your armour around it, like I put on my liquidator gear, and there's these just rippled abs sticking out from underneath this armour.
They are proper boys.
Warren is a boy.
Warren is the king of sit-ups. I will say this about Warren, right? Because I saw it referenced in a few videos today, one that I shared with you, and one that I saw on Eurogaming, which was really weird. But when I first saw this game announced, it was the equivalent of kind of Lords of the Fallen, where it's like, I don't want to play a bloke. I want a character creator. I'm not really that interested in a bloke. But as you play through the Surge, I think Warren's really good. I
agree.
really like Warren, and I like the fact that there's the moment at the start of the game when you realise he's a disabled man, and you go through that bonding section of not just the rig to Warren's body, but you pretty much to Warren. When there's that moment where he's sort of laid on the bed and all this sort of robot arms come in, and it just goes. What is it?
Patient sedated. No.
Patient sedated, and he just looks up and goes, "What?" And then you see all those screws being drilled into him, and
it's horrible.
Then they cut to the back, and it's the implant chip, and you just see this drill just going towards the back of his head from a distant camera angle, and you just go, "No!" And then it cuts to the front of his face, and it's like, ah.
It gives you that feeling, you know, in the Matrix, when they sort of jack you into the Matrix in the back, and they stick that big needle. It's that kind of my brain part. My head stem. Ugh.
And then soon after, when you go into the game, you see Warren that's been thrown away.
Chucked in a pile, getting picked at by a robot, and then he gets up and takes that second to go, oh shit, I'm standing up.
Yeah, and then kick a robot and just go like, oh yeah, there is that. I forgot.
Doesn't make a big deal of it. He just stands up, takes a second, like, and you can see him going, oh, like, doesn't say anything, just like, and then it's like, oh, now I've got to hit this robot with a stick.
Now, I think as he goes along, I really liked Warren. I got kind of invested in Warren to the point where there's a character creator in the Surge 2, which looks really detailed and really cool. But my main conceit at this point was, I'm going to miss Warren. Is Warren in it? And I think he is.
There's been some illusions, isn't there?
There's somebody a little way into the preview build who I believe could be Warren.
Cool.
That was exactly my response. Because in the sequel, you've got the character creator and stuff, but your dialogue isn't voice acted.
I don't know. I think I might miss that. I quite like Warren's voice acting.
Yeah,
and like,
I really
here's
like
the thing.
Warren.
I know when you said it, like, you don't want to play just a bloke. I like that he's just a bloke.
Yeah,
he's not
he's not
a big
the chosen
novel
one
hero
or
man.
any of that shit.
He's just a bloke who's had a bad day. You get this with, I think that's what I liked about Silent Hill 2. Okay, because James Sunderland is just a bloke. He's not very good at things, and like, I think Warren, I get that same kind of feeling. He's just a guy. He doesn't know what's going on. He's just having a really bad day, and he's like that sort of hard-boiled, I'm going to get through this, even though it's going to kick my ass. I like it. I like it a lot.
When you get Warren's backstory as well, it's really unexpected and it's really good. But also, I think that there are little touches in there as well that align to Warren, and the reason that Warren's in the situation that he's in when he decides to that he wants to join Creo, that he wants to make a difference. There's this company that because there's deformities, a rise in deformities across the world, and crops are failing, and he wants to kind of do something for the greater good, which is why he steps up. But there's the aspect where they're explaining Creo World, because obviously in one of the DLCs you've got this big wacky theme park that goes wrong, and they basically say at a certain point that Creo World was created because they're taking they're giving all these opportunities to people who don't have full use of their limbs, and they're giving them these mech suits. That Creo World was designed for them as a place that they could bring their families, where they wouldn't be stared at in the same way as they would be if they went on holiday elsewhere, because they've got these rigs attached to their bodies and stuff. I just thought that was just somebody just sitting down and super thinking all of this through. And that's one of my favourite things about the story. It's so interconnected, and yet it doesn't rely on vagaries or you going into item descriptions and stuff. There's tons of item descriptions in the game, and they're right up front. They're literally, there's a line going to a thing and you
we talked about this in the DMs for ages, didn't we? It's the fact that this it's got a really fun little, a good story, and the stuff in the DLC is really good as well. Like the Creo World DLC story stuff is really, really good.
I'm so glad you picked that up.
I'm so glad.
It was driving me kind of mad that you might not, because
I was going to get it eventually.
So special.
Yeah, and then being able to crack in the cowboy stuff as well, and there's stuff going on in the cowboy stuff too. Like it tells its own sort of side story, and I quite enjoyed that story as well. But as this stuff layers up, what it's doing is it's not hiding it; it's telling you the story, and it's unfurling like a goddamn story. You're not having to hunt through tiny text to work out and draw. You don't need a wall with red string to work out the story. It just tells you it as you play, and I love that.
It's very upfront about the story that it's telling, but that doesn't take away from just how complex that story is.
Oh yeah, they layer it really well. Yeah,
the way
absolutely.
That it weaves around, and the audio logs. The audio logs are spectacular.
What world do we live in where there's good audio logs?
The voice acting on them is stunning.
I really like them.
It's proper radio acting, and there are people that I've followed through some of those audio logs where there's been points where I've been genuinely terrified, and I've listened back to these things and they've still chilled me. And when I've got another one with that person that's come up later on, and it's my instant thought is, oh, it's you. Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. I particularly like getting an audio log when you've been following someone for a while. There's a woman that you get them, I think, sort of midway through the game, who's also on the similar journey that you are.
Yeah.
And after 2 or 3 of these audio logs, you find her. She didn't do very well. That one really, you kind of know that it's coming, but even then, when you sort of see, oh shit, she didn't do very well.
I think there's if we're talking about the same person, and I think we are, there's a bit where it super clicked with me, where this woman was talking about when the surge first happened, and it was just full of, you get the feeling that everything happened quickly, that it was violent, it was mad, it was tons of adrenaline, there was horror, there was pain, all this sort of stuff. And she just says at the end of it, and it was only when I got to the med bay and I was told that I realised I lost the sight in one of my eyes. What?
That's cool.
And I literally put the pad down and just put my hands to my face and just went, Christ, that's... So many games go for tone and really layer it on thick. Whereas this kind of burgeoning story, as it sort of spreads out, is incredibly complicated, is brilliantly done, But little moments like that, aside from the company view and what's happened to the workforce, the individual human moments like that just really sort of have really got to me. I mean, even the story itself, I mean, very much like, I guess, Dark Souls 2, it's kind of altruistic reasons with fate spiralling out of control. Like I say, there is more and more deformities on the earth, and crops failing, and Creo is a company that's trying to combat that. But as you go along, there are two groups of scientists trying to tackle it. One thinks they're onto something, the other takes that research and gets faster results, but those go way, way out of control. Each group of scientists doesn't trust the other, based seemingly purely around the fact that they've got different ideas of what they should do, what they should have done. But individually, each group thinks that they can stop all of this, and they believe they know exactly how to do it. And I love that as it was going along, that avoiding needing an obvious sneering villain throughout and a mad master plan, that there's this constant surprise within the after effects of just something happening. And even as the game moves into endgame, there are still movements. And it feels very much like the people that are trying to seize upon what's happened don't particularly feel like the instigators. They feel like they're trying to capitalize. And the subtext through all of that is everything's fucked. You probably won't be able to do any of this because it's all fucked. And I don't want to sort of be obvious about it, but we were talking about a certain level, and the game just literally punches the shit out of you with revelations, one after the other, and they're all good. They all come in a succession of rooms from one another.
Yep.
And honestly, there was a certain point where it just went like, fuck off.
Yeah, there was one particular one where I put the pad down and I just sat and I watched the little story unplay that you find. I just had to sit there and listen to it, and I had to take a second to like center myself or I could move on. I was like, what the shit?
But all three of those are brilliant.
Everything's
all
good.
Of them. And there's one individual piece of there are a series of audio logs that you then find from the owner of Creo, and they're spectacular. The delivery is astonishing, absolutely astonishing. And
this game got shit for its voice acting from certain places. I've done a bit of research, and I'm like, how? It's good though.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
It's good. What's wrong with people?
And even within smaller storytelling moments, like there are things towards the end where you get, or a certain amount of levels in, when you start to see development of these kind of metal creatures that very Terminator-like creatures that will smash through this glass and will come for you. And there are some of them that are like half bodies that are on the floor that will ignite into life and will try and crawl towards you. But these creatures, the ones that come smash through the glass, you can kill them, and then you're not expecting this at all. And the first time this happens, it scares you to death. But they then ignite, get up again, and come at you. As you go further into the game, there was one bit in particular where one of these things came towards me, and I killed it. And at that point, it didn't even drop. It just stood there, reignited, and came towards me.
Yep.
And not all of them do that, which is again is something I think is brilliant, because it just feels like some of them are evolving beyond others.
I like when you haven't fought one I like when you haven't done it for a while and you meet one later and you forget they do it, and you get that scare all over. That happened to me in the sort of the later level. Like, I was thinking, oh yeah, and I've got to terminate and smash, and move through the level, and I was just stood there looking, thinking, now where do I go up there? there's a door up there, and then just got smashed off a ledge. Was not paying attention, and I was like, what the fuck? And I looked up, and oh my god, it was the Terminators. I like, depending on which bit you do as well, because you can target individual limbs. You can focus on, right, I'm going to break that thing's leg off. And if you do, when it reignites, it'll crawl at you. If you break its arm off, it'll run forward and try and kick you. If you break its head off, it kind of like shuffles forward at like a weird sort of like and flails wildly at you with its hands. It's
and hits
weird.
Hard.
Yeah,
hits hard. And I settled into that conceit of like, right, if I take its head off, like, you know, the zombie conceit, then that's something in of itself. But I don't know, the game, even as you get more powerful as you go along, the game still keeps you on your toes. And even if you're feeling kind of like you're feeling quite good and you've got that sort of power surging through you, you know that there's a point that if you take your eye off the prize, you're in trouble. And because the game goes through and continually gives you new enemies, it always feels like it's got something enemies-wise or story-wise tucked in its back pocket. And not because it's being a bastard, but because it feels like it wants to... It knows exactly how much to feed you, knows the crumbs to drop to lead you forward, to give you more, you more.
I genuinely think as well that like the way the enemies ramp up, you know, it's not that you're fighting the same dudes but bigger. Like they feel like different things to work out. Like you find different kinds of robot, you find different kinds of man with weapons. Some are quick, some are slow, some are fast, some are really armored. Like you need to learn different ways of dealing with stuff. So it's not. I mean, I would say I power leveled a bit. I kind of found a few farming runs to get the upgrade materials I need to get my shit upgraded pretty quick. I found a couple of good loops. I think every time I found like the next level up, I'd stop for a while, take a couple of hours, and just kind of go around the area a few times, getting some tech scrap up, obviously, but then getting my stuff thing. But even though I got my gear up, you know, I was a pretty beefy boy usually when I head into a level. I never felt like I was over-leveled for anything. Like, I always felt like basic shit could get me if I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes an enemy with a different attack pattern that's got that you're not expecting, or you know, because the weapons genuinely seem to have a lot of weight, and the enemies don't sort of run out of steam and then give you a chance to attack. Although there are pockets where you realise that they're doing combos and you can stop and wait for those. If you know, the combat's very balletic, I think. But you have to know what you're facing in order to go near it. If you've got somebody running at you with like dual knives attached to their hands, they're going to go in and they're going to like really slash in fast and hard. And those fuckers run. Absolutely run at you, and that's different than if you're taking on kind of a boy with a hammer, where it might be, you know, slide in across the floor and then do your sort of R2 attack
and knock you on your ass. Like again with the single rig things, the big arm mace things that I like to use. Again, if you see guys using them and they're quick guys, watch out, because that will knock you on your ass. Yeah, like varying the tactics, and even like the robotic enemies you meet as well. They have different patterns of attack and different ways they come at you. There's those three-legged dog things that just launch themselves at you, and if you're, you know, not of a decent level yet, they will mince you. They will literally cut you to ribbons.
Man, those things terrified me, and I love the point that you first see them in Central Production B. They're just lying inert on the floor, and you walk past them and nothing happens. And you go to the end of the corridor and you go further on, and then two of them wake up at once. And then as you run back, literally one by one, they all start getting up. And it's like, Christ. And it is a section that you can run down, get to the elevator, and just go down again and just think, thank fuck.
That is exactly what I did.
But there's a point later on in the game when you get to the biolabs and you see them wandering around. And these kind of dogs are very much like those MIT kind of creepy ones that open the doors and stuff.
Oh, the Boston Dynamics things.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And they're terrifying. And even if you've got... And they make use of this conceit brilliantly later on. Even if there's an area that you know, and all of the enemies that you know in that area the majority of them have gone, and those dogs are patrolling the area, there's something about the silence of all of those, like nearly all of those enemies having been gone. Nearly all, because there are still a few there to catch you out. But also, those dogs are wandering around. It makes you super paranoid, because you immediately don't know the level. And those things will fight, because they don't just run up to you. They've got like they've got a tail, which is the best thing to go for.
100%.
Which you can like dodge around and stuff. But if you're close to them, they do this kind of thing where they like flick their legs back and then rotate their back legs back, jump to the wall behind you, but kick you in the face with both sets of legs, and it does hella damage.
It's an oofed of a damage.
And it looks creepy as balls.
I find them quite difficult because a lot of my strategy revolves around limb chopping.
Yeah.
And I found the aggression amplifier chips, which give you health back. At one point, it was on 40% health recovery from every finisher I was doing.
Yeah,
cool. I've got to say, that was doing me fucking proud in the more human-themed areas. But when there's like robots, I actually had to like stop and like, this shit does not work against these guys.
Yeah.
I need a better plan than this. And it turns out knocking their tails off is a great plan because they drop ancillary cores, which means you can equip more stuff.
So to anybody that's kind of jumping into this and is just interested to hear concepts and the things we've got to say, your chips are, think Nier Automata, but also think the rings from Dark Souls that you can plug things in and you can get up to 16 by the end of the game, is it?
Yeah, if you really push for it, yeah.
And you get extra slots as you go along, but they give you things like health injectors and like versions of health injectors that can give you your health back over 30 seconds and
Estus versus life gems, basically.
Yeah, storing energy, because you've got an energy meter as you attack, and as the energy meter goes up, it gives you the option to fire your drone out, or as I later learned when I got my bayonet, there's a gun symbol on there as well. So the bayonet I got from the Wild West DLC, and it acts very much like a spear. And spears in this game aren't sort of your Dark Souls stabby forward thing. They're completely Return of the Jedi, massive lightsaber type things.
Sweepy swooshy.
Yeah, there's a real flow to it. So I can do that choppy stuff with a bayonet, and then when it passes that point on the energy scale, if I'm pressing kind of R1, literally I lunge into them and it goes like dum dum, and it fires at these 3 bullets. Oof. which can go a distance as well. Beyond, if like you're fighting an enemy and the enemy jumps back, those bullets will still reach out.
That's
like
dirt.
A good way, and it's fantastic. As soon as I realised I could do that, I'm like, okay, so essentially I've got a lightsaber with a shotgun in it. And that's taken me all the way through the game after a certain point. What have you been sticking with?
I have experimented with other weapons, because when I went to the Cowboy DLC, there's one of the modifiers you can put on when you play, which gives you the weapon of the thing you just killed. So it's kind of a gun game almost, like, I'm using this now, I'm using this now, I'm using this now. I, by choice, tried a few things out, but I was in love with the single rig, like, from minute one, and that's what I've used the whole game. I think my mastery is up to 22 at the end of the game on that. I found one, where did I find it? Can't even remember. I think it was in the Biolabs, dropped by an enemy called Codename Elise, which is pretty much a chainsaw on the end of a big old smasher. I'd think about it, it just clicked with me. Like, it's like, yeah, this feels like a good weapon, and it matched my armor quite well. Had decent, pretty reasonable stats. Nothing amazing compared to everything else, but, it was solid. And I just kind of got into a rhythm with it. The speed was good for what I was doing. The damage was great. I found a good system of slide in, big smash, get out. One of the combos ended with like a jump kick, which was, fun. to do. The finishers are really good with it as well. Lots of big sort of massive swings and stabs and stuff with it.
Because all of the finishers for the different weapons are different, which is great. It's not just one finisher, and I think they've taken that on a level from what I can tell for the second one.
And there's so many different kinds of weapon. Like, I had 6 or 7 of them I was looking at by the end of the game going, I could chuck a couple of nano cores on that and make that, like, top level. I mean, I've got this one, but I quite like the idea of swinging a golden coffin at people.
I've still got the feeling, and that if I go into New Game Plus, it will purely be to try some of these weapons out. And I'm going to be going in like an overpowered nutter anyway. Why not try something completely and utterly different?
While dressed as a golden cowboy.
Yeah, exactly. There's a good cowboy. That's you got to admit. But
there's a lot of hats. There's a lot of fun boots. I was only slightly upset that a lot of the cowboy hats are classed as Goliath heavy. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
No, I like my quick, snippy operator gear, and all the operator gear are like sombreros, and it's fine, and masks. But I really wanted a cowboy hat, so I put it on in the end. It did fuck with my all operator gear that I was wearing, but when you've got a golden cowboy hat, you can't really complain. I don't think at that point.
I went from the opening level. As soon as I got the hammer, I really clicked with the hammer and got into this sort of motion of sliding in and sort of hitting the wind out of people, or just like jumping forward, like dashing forward, doing like a knock into the stomach, and then going into a combo, and that was pretty good. And that took me through till on Creo World, one of the bosses, you get the Kingfisher Spear, and the Kingfisher Spear is really good, and that I went through with for a long time before I got the bayonet, and was just because when you get weapons, a lot of the time you just want to try them out, and especially if you're on a tech scrap farming run, you would just like, right, I'll try this with this weapon, or I'll try it with this weapon. But I really got into the bayonet, and it was doing some dirty stuff with that shotgun type stuff.
One of my regrets is that I didn't click with anything else other than single rig. I liked them so much. I found Boy early, and yeah, it just said, like, it spoke to the way I play so well. Again, like, get in, big hit, get out of the way again. Like, I tried out the dual rigs, which is like the Wolverine claw type weapons, and it's like boom, 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 and it's fine, but it wasn't really doing the damage I was looking for. I found the hammer just a bit too slow. I didn't like the spear. I tried it out. I couldn't get into a rhythm with it. Yeah, this single rig, and because it kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like, because it was different to other games, this is like not a weapon you'll see in other games. It's like a big chunk of metal strapped to your arm. It's unique, and it felt more like, this is the sort of thing I want to play the game with because it's its own weapon, if that makes sense. Do you sort of follow? Like, I can't replicate this experience in another game. Like, there's loads of games with hammers, there's loads of games with swords, there's loads of games with spears. There's no games I know of with a fuck-off chainsaw strapped to one of your arms.
I can add numerous weapons in like that. Like, I'll mention it a bit later, but there's one weapon which is essentially a robotic cat's claw on a stick. But there's loads of it like that, and even on the final level, just before the boss, there's this fantastic bit of storytelling where there's clearly someone that's died reaching for a weapon, and when you pick that weapon up, you're like, oh, this seems pretty dirty. I haven't actually used it, but you just go, is this kind of the Excalibur moment? Is this the your Shrine of Storms type?
Is this the Gotterdammerung thing?
But I haven't tried it, but I have seen people use it against the last boss.
It's ostensibly a hammer, but they title the hammer's weapons heavy duty because this is not a hammer.
That one just seems like infused with nanites and
glorious. It's basically, just imagine like a massive long blade, but the bottom of it's a handle, but like the handle's in the blade, so you're kind of holding it and the blade extends past your hands. Almost like, not the same shape, but the same concept as a Klingon batleth. Like
there is
the handle's in the weapon.
There is one name of a weapon which genuinely made me laugh, and it is the most Boston-sounding name for a weapon that I've ever heard in any game, which is the Tomahawk. It's like, it's not even spelled like tomahawk. It's like Tamahaac. It's a tomahawk.
Tomahawk.
Yeah.
A lot of the DLC weapon names are like that. They're really funny. The coffin you get, I think, is the first one you get is called the RIP. And the golden version is the RIGP. Rest in gold pieces. It made me laugh. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, game. You did a funny. A lot of the DLC descriptions are really funny as well. Again, all the ones in Creo World and all the ones in the cowboy stuff are genuinely a laugh. Even the voiceover, because when you're going through the cowboy stuff, you've got a voiceover from the mad scientist, and I've laughed a lot at like silly puns. I like the one where he takes a record of everything he does. Monday, didn't do much. Wednesday, forgot to record yesterday. He does podcasts as well, doesn't he? About the shows on the TV, which are bizarre. But yeah, I don't know. I've just, for something that scared me so much, right? And I have jumped like a loon at lots of this. That it still made me laugh as much as well. So I like going into this with the huge paint box of emotions available, not knowing quite what's around the corner, because it's not desperately trying to force a tone upon me, because it's scared me to death and it's made me laugh. I don't know which one of those it's going to do next. And that's super cool. That's quality writing. Unpredictable. Yeah, and I'm sort of super impressed with it. But I think, should we go through the levels a little bit? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So your opening level that we were on last time is sort of quite concise. I didn't realise until showing my mate Pete the Surge the other week that at the start of the game there are 2 rigs that you can choose from. I told you about this and you didn't believe me. No, I just didn't know. Because I just thought both of the rooms were going to be the same sort of thing, but I think one is for the Lynx rig and one is for the Rhino rig. And I genuinely didn't know that you're essentially choosing between speed and toughness. Wait. I think all it does, after looking a bit into it, I think all it does is give you a couple of the pieces of that set early, so you haven't got to go get them. So I chose Rhino, so I had a couple of Rhino pieces on me early in the game, whereas you can get a lot of Lynx, which is the light stuff, off of the early weapon guys, but you won't find Rhino stuff till much later, so I kind of had a bit of a heads up with that. I didn't realise you could cut out torsos for 2 whole levels, so I was just walking around with arms, legs and helmets but no middle piece, and I was like, how the fuck do you earn torso pieces? It's like, oh, press down on the targeting stick. Now I feel dumb. There are certain things I didn't realise that will come to you later. Yes. One of them was, I didn't realise that the doors on Central Production B that were meshed up, you could hit and break. Oh my god. I didn't realise that for a long, long time. Oh my god, that's every shortcut though. I know it was. That's all of the shortcuts. But that was one of those things. I think I was fighting an enemy at a certain point, and I just went, "Oh god." Were you disappointed with yourself? No, it was just one of those things where I don't even know if I got heavily wounded by the enemy after that. It just took over the battle. I'm like, oh jeez. What's in this orange tunnel? Yeah. So yeah, you've got the opening level, which is abandoned rocket production. Yeah, and it's there to just give you an idea of what you can do and where you can go, and lights on your suit and going underground. Here's the big scary thing. Yeah, places that you can't visit, certain things that you can't get to yet that are worth grinding to get towards, and it's just to get you used to the game. And as such, I think it's a nice little go around. But I know there are a fair few people that have started playing the game
that have been through that level kind of judged the entire game on that level and just gone, nah, this is rubbish.
Well, I think that, like, not visually, but like in a design point, I think this actually has a really good example of what the game's going to be. Like, it's so interconnected. You're constantly cutting back and being somebody like, oh, I've been here, I can open the shortcut, I can go straight to that bit. The closest touchstone I can think of recently is probably like Bloodborne, the first part of Bloodborne, the Cathedral Ward area.
Yeah.
Where you're running around and like every kind of 5 minutes, you know, you're finding a new shortcut, a new way back, a new thing. Like, it explains, like, this is what the game's like. You're going to find ways back. You're going to find shortcuts. Everything's connected. It's not a tunnel. You're exploring a big place that's makes it feel more like an actual place because you're just opening doors between places. Like, oh, of course this is next to this. You know, you're always kind of cycling back round, and you tend to find yourself back at medbay when you kind of need it. I didn't notice this until a bit later, but on the walls, particularly in those service tunnels, there are signs that say ops, like this way, elevator, that way, on the wall in the tunnel. So if you're like, shit, I really need to get back to ops, like the medbay, I have to get back and dump this stuff off. And if you're in a tunnel and you see ops left, you're like, oh my god, I'm going left now.
Yeah.
And it will take you back. I love it.
It's I saw some of the spray paint signs like use their abilities against them and things like that. But it was only way into the game I noticed those, and they are literally like public signs, aren't they? Like pointing you in a direction, and
once you've seen them, you're like, how did I not see these? This is like when I played The Witness, and you get to a point where you realise that you're not just solving puzzles on panels in front of you. If you look around and see a shape of a circle with a line near it, if you enter like puzzle solving mode and you select that circle with your cursor, it will work. And suddenly you're looking at the game a whole new way. You're like, hang on a second. I've been walking around the puzzle the whole time. And like, now I know what I'm looking for. Like, oh my god, there's an elevator there, or there's an ops there, there's a med bay there. This shows me where the next thing is. Really clever. And like, yeah, of course there'd be signs up. This is a working place. This is a place where people work and do their jobs. Of course there's going to be signs to show you where things are.
I think that's one of the aspects that makes the place fit for purpose. It feels like it's been used for the purpose that the story is telling you it is. Like, the rocket production place at the start genuinely looks kind of like people are building stuff there. And there are points where it's very close and very closed and very claustrophobic, but you're also out in the wide open a lot of the time, and I think it's those moments where you learn to be confident, when you learn to figure certain things out. And of course, after that, the game will push you underground, will put you onto stairs winding up, will give you an enemy at a certain point that's faster than anything that you've seen before. And it starts playing with the confidence that you've got, and then, of course, at the end of it, gives you the massive PAX robot, which seems super intimidating when you first get to it. And you beat that before I did.
I got lucky with that. I did it in one. I just kind of stayed under it and just wailed on its legs, and that seemed to work. It kept jumping around. I just run back. I mean, I just utilised my Metal Gear Rex knowledge to run under the big robot because it doesn't generally like that. Apparently, it was shooting itself with its own rockets. I didn't realise that at the time. I was like, oh, cool. It gets hurt. Excellent. I'd leveled my shit up to level 2 at that point. I'd found the spaceman enemy. In fact, I think I'd made all of his gear, so I was a walking Gundam, which felt good. I did end up changing that armour afterwards because I kind of didn't really feel it. It was taking up half...
The shoulders kind of get in the way a lot of the time.
It took up half the screen. It took up a lot of core power, and the Rhino gear is stronger for less core power. And it's like, well, why would I not pick that?
Yeah, I ended up using... I still kept the Link's leg gear and chest gear throughout the entire game. I had the Rhino arm pieces because they had a plus 30% hit damage on them, and then replaced impact damage, and then replaced those with the mech arms from Creo World, which did a similar sort of thing, but I think we're a little kinder on stamina.
Okay.
But
No, I flipped the switch. Once I'd found a certain type of enemy, I flipped the switch because I kind of started going more links because I found the Rhino. I was very slow. I wanted to go a bit faster. I knew you talked about going a bit quicker, so I started swapping things out a bit, and I kind of banked myself a basic set of links gear and diddled around a bit and found it a bit more my speed. So okay, I feel like I'm getting somewhere now. And then a little later on, through, I think it was in Central Production B, you meet these guys called Liquidators, who are toxic waste disposal guys. And their armour...
You're kind of forced into their armour at a certain point. And
a little bit, yeah. It makes your life so much easier.
The later level, or the last level, it's a little bit of a pain having to change in and out of that, I must admit. But it looks nice.
Unless you build the whole set and stay in it for the entire game. I don't know where the poison areas in this game are because they did not affect me anymore once I built the whole set.
They're the ones that go... Tss, tss.
Yeah, where my health bar used to go down, and now I just stroll through like, it's fine.
Well, there is a chip to process toxic vapours. Does that include the goop on the floor?
I think so. I mean, when I had the whole Liquidator set on, I could stand in anything.
No, I mean,
fine.
there's an actual chip that you can add
I don't know if I got that.
Arsenal.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
It mentions like vapours, but we'll say like you've got various descriptions in for the different bits of gear, and obviously if you get like a full set, there's an extra bonus that will kick in there as well. I've been wearing. We'll go into Creo World shortly. But I've been wearing the head of Bradley the Bean, one
Excellent.
of the mascots from the Popcorn Parade, and in the description of his hat, where normally you would see all the things where it's been built and what it does and all of its stats and stuff, it just says name Bradley the Bean, favourite thing mornings, dislikes party poopers.
I like that.
Yeah, it's great, and I just thought that was a super giggle.
Do you know what I like as well about that?
Looked at the others yet.
I like about the fun hats. When you put on a full set of gear, you get a bonus. So, like when I put on my Liquidator gear, I get extra resistance to all that poison goop. I have found that you can switch out the hat, and you will retain the bonus if it's one of the fun hats. Like I can put on any of the cowboy hats or sombreros, and I still get that bonus.
Oh, okay.
If I switch out to a different armor set's hat, it doesn't work. But if I put one of these dumb, goofy hats on, the game's like, nah, have your fun. Go on. We've made you this dumb stuff, but you still want to have your bonus. I love that.
You know something? If the end of the world was coming to this kind of degree, I would like to think that I would try and look as ridiculous as possible. So, because this is tied into the way that I know you love to dress up in games as well, and almost comes back to the aspect we talked about last show, where this very British sci-fi sensibility of, look, everything's really terrible, but we're going to take the piss out of how terrible it is, but we're going to throw some more terrible things at you, but we're probably going to make you laugh. Do you know what I mean?
Everything sucks, but you've got shoulder pads.
There's this sort of Alien meets Monty Python feel to it, which I find it gels together so well, and it shouldn't.
It is, once again, 2000 AD as fuck.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I love it. Like that
real...
I'd read this comic. I would have read this comic.
Yeah.
This should be somewhere. There should be a black and white, like, collected edition of The Surge from 2000 AD, first printed in 1987.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even the art style is a very almost like, sort of angular and jagged Warren.
Oh,
and
I could see Carlos Esquera presents The Surge.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I genuinely love to see an art book of some of this stuff as well, because it's just genius. But yeah, you move from the first area, which, as I say, I think it's a little bit sad that a few people have judged the game on the first area. I think it's great. It's fit for purpose. Allows you to do what you're going to do to get used to the mechanics of the game. And there are a fair few in there that differ from Dark Souls, like chopping off the limbs and getting the different armors and stuff. But
power upgrade type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of putting you through the ringer, getting you confident. But then you get Central Production B. So you take a train to Central Production B. And this is where the surge really opens up. The level gets much much bigger, like vertically as well as sort of in general scope. It becomes much more complicated, and the way that it turns back in on itself, honestly, I think it's genius. There are a lot of shortcuts here where I just went, oh. And, storytelling takes a huge leap. We discover more characters around the facility, just what's happened to the people there. Like, there's some people that you meet early on. One guy, the power in his suit has run down, and he was basically kneeling on the floor, pretending to be dead, hoping that something doesn't notice him, and he's pissed himself. And that again, there's something very, very small about this. This big, powerful, huge thing that's happened with the surge in general, but then it pulls it down to this really human moment of, got no power in my suit, I'm terrified, I need to go flu as well, and you just need. It's not even pretending to like lying on the floor. It's kneeling there, which is just, and when you get this guy back to this central ops sort of med bay, he's asking you for medication, but when your contact looks into it, he's never been on any medication. Weird,
and I love that.
Did you get to the bottom of that story? Because he left the
I never saw him again. He left, and I never saw him again.
So I'm wondering if there's something I've missed there.
There's a few stories I got to the end of. There's a lady you meet in Central Production B called Irina Beckett, who is stood on the stairs with metal bits of stuff all around her. She's been in a fight, but she needs a weapon because her weapon's broke.
Yeah.
And you have to go get her something halfway decent.
Do you know what I love? There's all that stuff behind her, and she's clearly just killed all of it with her hands. Also,
she's double hard.
She's flirty as fuck.
Yeah.
I like how she calls you oh look, it's my white knight.
Yeah.
And I love that confidence ties into the fact to all of the bits that are behind her. But yeah, carry on.
If you get her the right stuff, if you get her the right weapon or the right gear parts later on, she will kill some of the things in the level for you. You will go back to an area and hang on, because there's these big like smelting machines. There's one in the robot factory, this big solid great truck thing with a giant arm with a mouth like a head on it that will smash you to pieces if you let it. There's an area with 2 of those in where you can do some stuff and kind of manipulate them around. But if you give her the right stuff, she'll go and kill one for you.
Really?
And you go back and it's gone, and you just pick up the item what the fuck? And I looked it up, it's oh yeah, if you do that, she'll go and do it. There's no fanfare about it. She just goes and does it.
Can we say as well that as it goes along, Irina's story is fantastic. It's really fantastic.
Do you know what it is? Dark Souls 2 as fuck.
Yeah, maybe this is why we're clicking with it.
It's Dark Souls 2 as fuck, man.
Yeah, Christ.
As you help her, things get worse.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I'd made that correlation earlier on in the show, but there's now certain connections going in. You go oh yeah, fucking hell. But yeah, the characters suddenly started to humanise the game even more for me, and I think this is where I started to click with Warren a little bit more as well, because of the way that he talked to people. And you've got the South African girl that's appearing as the hologram in the ops base that's kind of guiding you through.
Oh, Sally,
yeah, she's brilliant, and it really feels like, yes, you're on your own. You're not the chosen one, as we said earlier, but the people around you are so human and are so vivid that when you do encounter somebody like that, it's great. And I will say there's somebody later on who is clearly trying to take advantage of the situation, and I was grinning grinning my way through it. It was this can be considered snooping around. You know the guy I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
And I literally was grinning from ear to ear. It was fantastic. But those levels were quite complicated, and I had to sort of keep my wits about me, but it proper took me off guard.
Big fan of that.
There's also stuff. You get your conversations. You start to get the audio logs and stuff. There's a fantastic bit of environmental storytelling where there's a big sign where it's warning the workers away from suicide, and there's a big robot drone that's putting up even higher barriers on this bridge, and there's a series of tributes and plaques honouring the dead a little bit further down. It's another moment where I stopped and just went, oh, this place is fit for purpose. Stuff has happened here before we even got there. And then as you get into the story, you learn that the workers are being forced into longer and longer hours, with many turning to mod chips to push themselves beyond sleep. And as things get worse and worse, there's an audio log saying how fights broke out and workers stole the chips from those who had fallen. At first these were removed with surgical precision, but in later times they were clearly pulled out from the skull by fingernails.
Ugh.
My word!
It's real good.
It's another one of those things where if we're talking 2000 AD wise, you can imagine that issue.
I'd read that. I'd read it.
And it stuck in my head. Like, horrors it can be quite a cliched thing, but these little bits which feel very human, they've stayed with me. They've really stayed with me. So yeah, I mean, anything else in Central Production B that you want to add?
Not really. No, like I say, it's just a really good, dense, lots of shortcuts, lots of stuff going on, lots of little sneaky hidey holes, lots of concepts thrown at you. Area, and like, as a central zone, I think it does a fantastic job of feeling like the middle of the like it feels like the middle of the factory, like, or the site where you're on. Like, it feels like a place where a lot of stuff happens. And
there is also a great boss battle with Little Sister. Little Sister is superb. And even I've got a video that I put on my YouTube and I put on my Twitter, just a little 30-second one of when I got to the end of this gantry and just went up this elevator, got to the end of this short gantry and just went, oh God, that's a boss, isn't it? And it's just a giant factory machine. Yeah. With millions of arms.
It's a big fabricator. And like, I went back to the blooming medbay, like, nah, I need to go and dump this stuff off at the pool, I think. I need to go cash in all this shit that I've picked up. Let's go back home.
This is something that I really like about the game that feels very Demon Souls. And that's the fact that you've got your one central ops per level. That's your one bonfire. And you get the conceit whereby you can bank the tech scrap that you've got. You can leave it in the machine. But if you keep a certain amount with you, and that keeps going up and up, you will get bonus scrap for everything that you kill for literally carrying thousands of it around.
I love it. I love that. The banking mechanic, I was like nearly screaming when I saw it. I was like, wait, I haven't got to spend it. I can just hold on to it until I've got enough. And yeah, I'm resetting my multiplier, but like, this 20 grand is safe.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a game show, isn't it? That 20 grand that you had there, that's safe. But you can gamble it against Boy Star Prize. Caravan.
And do you know what? It happened exactly when I needed it. Exactly when I was like, shit. Like, I didn't know. Like, I was holding out to buy some stuff. Like, I wanted to kind of build some gear and level it up, and I knew I needed some bits for it. I was like, don't really want to spend it on levels, but like, wait, what's the bank tech? Wait a second. Hold button down. Holy shit! I had this in Hollow Knight yesterday as well. I had like 3,000 money on me, which is a fucking lot. Like, nothing to do with it. Like, I don't want to like just drop it somewhere. This area sucked. Like, I need somewhere to put it. I need something to spend it on. The next room I went into had a bank in it. It's like, yes, I want to open an account. Yes, take all my money.
There is the thing as well that if you, whilst you've got the banking mechanic and you've got the extra bonuses, if you're holding the more tech scrap that you hold, the more of it you will earn as a buff on top of what you're getting.
Yeah.
But if you drop your tech scrap, which is the equivalent of dropping your souls in Dark Souls, you have 2.5 minutes to get it back. And it pauses that when you're in the ops bays and in the lifts, which is pretty cool. But there is that period of where you go, can I get back to it?
Well, if it's far away, there's also ways of improving that. Every enemy you kill adds a bit of time. Yeah.
Go on.
So you can just sprint. Shit, I'm running out of time. Right, kill that guy. Oh, that's added 20 seconds on. I can do this.
Yeah, I think it adds 30 seconds on per enemy.
Yeah, and if you peg it, like, if you're really going for it and it's far away, it's not like, I'm never going to reach that in 2 minutes. No way. And I looked at the clock. I noticed it when I was like, how's it on 3 minutes?
There's a good chance that if you try and run it to back to the scrap, it may well be a decent amount away as well. That you could get injured along the way. You could get to it on time and then just press on. But if you're fighting the enemies and you think you know where you are, you may well essentially have just bumped the amount you've got up by 20 odd grand from everything that you fought on the way, which is a really clever idea. And it's another one of those things where you kind of look and go, why didn't From think of that? There are so many ideas in this that I just think are plain smart.
Yeah, clever. So we'll move on. Is it the biolabs after Production B?
Now, you went to the biolabs.
You went to the theme park.
I went to Creo World. We'll do, because you hadn't got the DLC at this point.
No.
And we will do the biolabs next here. But in Central Production B, there's basically a train station quite early on. And the signs are up, like on the TVs for Creo World. So when you've got the DLC downloaded, you can board that train and go to Creo World, and it will do...
The train's not there if you don't have it.
No. And it will allow you to do half of the content in the DLC.
What point does it get you up to? Because I went later and it was all knocked in one go. How far do you get before it kicks you out?
This is the thing, because you'll do a certain amount, and the guy in the central ops that's talking to you basically says you need to speak to Dr. Chavez, who is in the Resolve Biolabs. So that's where it sort of takes its pause and stuff. And you can't unlock... there's that giant corkscrew sort of ride that's in the middle of the theme park that goes up and then goes down.
Sort of takes you up and down the level, yeah.
That's locked. So you have to see Dr. Chavez before that. So it's still, the story's still moving on at a decent pace, but I think if anything, that early part of Creo World just gives you a wonderful piece of contrast to Central Production B, and brings it into the maddeningly, deliriously murderous, bright, colourful theme park, and gives you a taste of it. And then you can go to the Resolve Biolabs and kind of go back to whilst they're different to Central Production B, it's still a return to that kind of tone, I think. So that's why I'm really impressed that they did a DLC that slotted itself in with the main story that way. I think it's pretty clever.
Not many do that, where you can go and look at it and do some of it and then come back later when you're stronger to do the harder bit at the end. Like, that seems really clever. Like, it's not just, I'm going to go off and do the DLC now, and it's its own thing, but you need to be level 100.
You can even say that about the good, the bad, and the augmented as well, because as you're going through the entire game, there will be certain doors with TVs above, and it says something like testing standing by or something on the TV, and then an arrow pointing down. You walk in and you can do some of the good, the bad, and the augmented. And
as you progress, it unlocks more levels as you go.
And as you pointed out, the good, the bad, and the augmented can essentially become like a nexus.
It can become a travel point, because there is a door to every zone in the good, the bad, and the augmented.
Once you've unlocked them,
Yeah, so you go through them, and I was like, hang on, so I can go back from the final level here, head off to the first level, get my shit, like, do what I wanted to do there, and just come back without having to grind through all of that stuff again. Amazing.
It's
amazing.
It's genuinely brilliant.
I say this as someone who does enjoy I loved walking back through the level before I realised what I could do. I enjoyed that, but having that option there meant if I did feel like just doing some sweeping up at the end of the game, it didn't take me fucking weeks. I could just go whip in and whip out to where I needed to be.
You see, we had that conversation about it, and I was like, I still think I'd quite like to wander through the levels and stuff. And then it was tonight that I went through one of those doors and just went, oh my god, I can get through to anywhere. Although there is on that final level, there is somewhere near the end, the final boss, there is a train that will take you back to Central Production B.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Thank God.
Yeah, really, really cool.
And again,
I think the game knows, hey, you might have some stuff to finish off. Go to Central, because you can access basically everywhere from there, can't you?
But design-wise, I just think so much of this is smart. You know, somebody did that poster, and our friend Sean's got one of just how interconnected the levels are in Dark Souls. Do me one of those, but the Surge.
Ooh,
I'd have me that. But,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, level 3, if you will, is the Resolve Biolabs, where we're confronted with toxic goop. Those robot dogs that we mentioned earlier, but it's all open plan. It's bright lights, big daylight. Inside the research domes,
Greenhouses everywhere.
Yeah, inside those research domes, the lights are near blinding. Along with the phosphorus gas, it becomes very claustrophobic. Not because the area is small, but just because the amount that you can see is obscured by light and by gas, and the things that most games would do with mist and smoke and darkness, it throws into daytime with pinks and greens, and that's where you find out about the two groups of scientists. You meet Dr. Chavez as well.
I think it's where the plot really starts to kick in. I think this is where you start to get an idea of what Resolve actually is, like the whole plan to save the planet, like what it was and why it isn't working.
Resolve and Utopia, you start to find out, like the two
competing ideas.
Yeah, and you meet Dr. Chavez, and you don't know whether you can trust her or not. And I think one of the characters later on alludes to the fact that that neither of them are really to be trusted, because they are scientists that are completely in love with their own ideas to the point that nothing else really comes into the mix of their own thesis. And yet each of those groups of scientists still maintains that they know how to figure it out if only they're given the chance. They know what's gone wrong, and they know what to put it right. And I think this is where it goes from, if the first level is you as one person being dropped into the middle of this, the second one is feeling the human characters and the workforce and how it hit them. This is another tier on top of that, like pulling back again of the scientific aspect and what was going on there. So it almost keeps pulling away from, you've got Warren, then you've got the workforce, then you've got the scientists, and as we go on, you get the corporate level, and then you get the people who want to do things with what's happened, and have got their own designs on where things could go and what's good about it and what's not. And that it's almost like a level of focus. You just sort of, you're changing the lens of a camera and you're just pulling back. And it's
it is published by Focus Home Interactive. Boom!
Aye, well done.
There you go.
You're the boy.
Thanks.
What did you make of this? Because you got there before I did.
I powered in. This is where I learned to love my liquidator gear. After standing in the poison for so long and getting annoyed with it, I thought I'll just craft some, and oh, this is just better. This is infinitely better. I'm wearing this forever, and I did. I really liked exploring this place. I didn't die an awful lot down here. I just had a lot of fun. Like, this is where I really started, like, with the aggression thing, where I can get health back when I do a finisher. This is where I started really going hard on that. And that was kind of getting me through entire zones of enemies with barely using an injection. Doing the finishes was keeping me healthy. I really liked sort of, again, finding the greenhousey areas and seeing the gas and stuff that hasn't worked and where the goo's overrun and getting surprised by enemies around corners when I wasn't expecting them. A lot of tricky placements in here, like more than any other area. It was very sort of close and I think claustrophobic, but I think, as you said before, like with light and with colour and with gas, but also there are some small corridors you kind of whiz through and you're like, ooh, I could get jumped here. And sometimes you do.
It's also the point where you first get a med station on the wall where all of a sudden you're going through it and there's a station which just refills absolutely all of the health, like the stuff that you've got now, all of your injectors. It just does all of it. And I was kind of like, at first it was like, oh great, that's really cool, but then there's a certain point where the conceit comes into play where it's, I can test myself against some of these robot dogs that are patrolling. I can do some of this stuff, and then if the worst comes to the worst, I can come back for that.
It's like the developers knew that this section could be potentially a bit of a slog for someone if they're not, at over leveled level, which is like, I was comfortable in my gear.
It's like quite a small level, but there's
small,
a lot
but it's long.
In it.
Yeah,
also,
there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot underground as well that you don't appreciate when you're first there.
And those three-legged scorpion robot dog things that just fling themselves at you.
At
this point, they are beef. They are beefy boys.
If you absolutely definitely have to, you want to pull one of them in. You 100% don't want two. 2 is a bad time.
2 is, well, I'm going to drop my scrap here, so I need to remember how to get here.
Can we also say as well, this is the bit where when you come into the level, you're sort of like, you're wandering through and you're not quite sure what's happening. And then you see all this broken down rubble everywhere, and then you just hear this, welcome, Warren. And it's like, oh my god, there's an ops bay.
Yeah.
And it comes out of nowhere because you're surveying all of this damage and you're not really looking on the wall, and then the door goes up and this isn't a scheduled break time. You
find yourself looking for that angled forwards wall wherever you go, like when you get to a new area, like where is it? Where's the wall that's leaned forward? Where's the angled wall?
It was fantastic. I wasn't expecting it at all, and if you were anything like me, it just had you kind of grinning and punching the air.
Every time I find the new ops bay, I cheer. Yeah. I think that's the one where you can parts of it will unlock as you go through. There's a couple that have got like bays on the left as you go in, and you'll find circuits to override. I think this is one of them that don't seem to do anything, and you'll go back and like, oh, this is open. I've got a new weapon or a new rig.
I'm walking my way back through all of it at the minute, so I'm going to be checking out everything like this.
Check those walls, on the op centers. But no, I really like the resolve. I think my favourite moment in this one was looking off to the right hand side of the first sort of bit you go to, and you can see one of those big smelter robots in a big gated off area full of poison, and it's like, do you know what? Not today. I'll see you in a few hours, I think. Not today, me old mucker. There's no boss in this bit either. You just kind of go in, you pick up the drone that can open doors, I think, isn't it? You pick up the remote drone, and then you take that back to Central B to open another area up, don't you?
Yeah, you've got a drone that you can throw up to some of the higher security levels, and it will access kind of one of these bits above the door which will allow you to go into certain other areas. I like that there isn't a ton of bosses throughout this game. I'm not really a big boss battle guy, and the ones that I've fought in here, I've enjoyed.
They're memorable. Yeah,
they feel right for where they are, and even if you can consider the guy in Creo world that you fight, the single soldier who's like super amped up and stuff, and you get the Kingfisher spear from him. That's a really good fight. It's a really
they don't even feel like bosses sometimes. They're just a big strong thing, or like you say, the security forces member that's gone a bit mental, or some factory machinery that's gone a bit mental because of the surge. Like, it doesn't feel like this is a boss designed to kill things. It's like this is some machinery that's gone haywire.
Yeah, and I liked there are certain times in Souls and in Bloodborne where it's been more interesting to fight another bloke than a giant tornado electric
limbs.
monster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, personal preference, but I've kind of digged that. And also the boss battles seem fair.
Yeah.
If you beat the boss battle, it's because you figured it out.
And it's worth saying this has the proviso where if you beat the boss battle a certain way, you get a better version of the weapon.
This is true. But
Brilliant.
We'll underline that when we go.
Upsets me when I can't do them.
Yeah, we'll underline that in Korea World, I guess. But,
Yeah.
So we'll go to Korea World. So Korea World is the first bit of DLC. It's a theme park that was created for the people working at Creo to bring their families, and it's big, it's bright, it's colourful, it's got licensed characters in it. So there are comic book characters, Iron Mouse, Rusty Rat, and Carbon Cat, and those are comic book characters in the real world. And in this imaginary universe. Plus, you've also got a group of mascots that wander through the camp called the Popcorn Parade. There's essentially Bradley the Bean, who's a coffee man.
Yep.
There's a donut boy. There's one fellow with a head that's a can of pop, and one half-eaten chocolate bar, an iron bar, and. Obviously, the surge happens and the AI goes mad, and various stuff kicks in. You get Carbon Cat starts trying to hunt down Rusty Rat, and Carbon Cat is an AI, and Rusty Rat is a bloke in a suit who can't take it off because he's naked underneath. And haven't you seen the creatures that are going past the locker room? And it's proper Tom and Jerry stuff. But really terrifying, and there was a state of play with Rusty Rat that I didn't rescue him in time.
Neither did I.
No.
I heard a boom while I was looking it up on my phone.
But Carbon Cat. There's a fantastic audio log where it said that when the surge first kicked in and Carbon Cat went mad. People were screaming and there was blood all over, and when kind of people turned to look around, the little girl who was getting her poster signed, he still had her arm in his hand.
Ooh.
Christ! Ooh. Yeah! And I was like, no!
And Carbon Cat is like malevolent as well. Like, have you seen the signs up, like, where you get like the posters of this is the bit Bradley the Bean says get a coffee, and all of his ones have gone like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah, and it's not even. I like that's the language because it's very childlike language, but it's it gets right to the core of you, and they're kind of quite a little bit sort of dead sec. Watch Dogs 2. That sort of really like it almost looks 3D.
Yeah.
But it looks drawn as well.
Chromatic aberration to fuck.
Yeah.
Do you know what my favourite part of the DLC is? My favourite one little moment is when you find the op station and you go in from the side, not from the normal door, because it's all smashed up. And you talk to the guy inside, and then you see that like a normal exit on the other end. So you walk towards it, and it opens, and it's over a fucking pit, and the whole op station wobbles, and it's like, no, come back this way, no, don't unbalance it. I properly I like did a small scream, like, oh no!
It's brilliant in that, and I really like that guy as well that's in there, because he was saying that he was working in IT and he got the chance to join the team that would be sort of rescuing people, and he says he asks you to keep an eye out for his team, but he gives them names. So he's like, oh, it's, Eastwood, Collins, like all of these people. And he says, some of them we were friends with, others people that I just worked with. But I need to find out what's happened to them. And when you discover those people, they've once again gone mad, but they can heal themselves. And if you try and chop off the middle of their body where the heal thing is, you can do 3 heals yourself. On top, and there's this great piece of dialogue later on where he says, "These are my colleagues. These are people that I work with. They've got wives, they've got husbands, they've got families. you need to do what you need to do, but I don't need to know about it.
So good.
And I love that because it's not leaning into that cliche of like, these are my friends, these are the people I work with, you can't kill them. It's just this really human aspect of somebody that realises exactly what's at stake, but is torn by the people that you knew and the people that you work with, and it's classy as anything, writing-wise.
So clever.
And the popcorn parade themselves are genuinely sinister. There's the award for killing all of them for you killed the popcorn parade.
Yeah,
but they walk along kind of like they're in an old 1920s Disney cartoon where they walk along with lots of vigour and kind of this lovely little sort of bop to their walk, like Saturday Night Fever type bop. And I think the first time I saw one of them, they were standing at the top of this stairwell and they just beckoned me closer. Said, "Hey, welcome to Crewe. Come here, I've got a secret to tell you." And I was like, "What?" And there are certain ones of them will pounce for a hug from distance.
Yeah.
Others will just walk out to the edge of the broken levels and just stare into the distance and perhaps reach out for a hug for a child that's not there. What? And
I like when you smash them sometimes and they fall down and they give you a thumbs up as they're going down.
And then it turns to a thumbs down, like,
Yeah.
I'm all right. Actually, no.
No, I'm not.
And they're amazing. They're really amazing. They're creepy, but there's also a sadness there. Plus, you see certain one of them have been hung. So they're hanging from the rafters by ropes around their necks. And then I like the ones that are near the sort of corkscrew roller coaster. The ones that come down. And they're dancing to kind of the music and stuff. Those are fantastic. You get the Canapop and Bradley Beam, the heads will split open and like laser beams will come out of them. And then later on you see Bradley the Bean has been infused with nanites and there's just this fucking multiple metal bits.
Oh,
kind of
that later Bradley the Bean sucks.
Hand-arm thing. It when you leave it alone, normal Bradley the Bean will just walk out to the edge of places and just stare. You'll hear this and it's and you'll see its head like moving in really like it's been possessed or something. And you're keeping really silent when you're trying to get past it, but just hearing those clicks and tocks and
it's really scary.
Like the sound in the game I think is brilliant anyway. You know everything that's coming at any given time. And even when there's like the iron bar and the donut guy that jump at you, you will get this kind of where they like jump and this kind of cute exhilaration noise as they go to you and they try to batter you. But and then when you do get the battle with Carbon Cat, it's a fantastic battle at the start, and then it mutates, and it's still a fantastic battle.
I think if I have one like regret is that I went to this quite late. Like I was level like 80 when I went into this, and it sounds like a bit, but it really was a walk in the park for me. Like,
I think you which is why I was kind of banging the drum, hoping that you get it a little bit
don't get
earlier
me wrong,
than you did.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in there, like, and it was very silly, and I was enjoying all the various things. But like, it wasn't really hard until the back half of it, and even then, it wasn't that bad. I did Carbon Cat in one go. Like, it wasn't a problem. Like, I'd just gotten better at the way I play, and I didn't die an awful lot near the end. I kind of got good at it. Sorry, I'd get good at it. But yeah, maybe I was looking for a challenge that wasn't there. A lot of the things I was picking up, like, well, I like the thing I've got better.
Yeah, and whereas, like I say, when I was going through it, I got the Kingfisher Spear, which was an upgrade on things that I was using. It got me playing things differently. It was a challenge, but I think that's because when I got into Central Production B, even really before I'd explored Central Production B, I got on the train to Korea World. And because that train station is near Irina, so it's really near the start of when you get to the Central Production Bay, and I'm glad I did it that way. Also, the level is phenomenal for grinding for scrap. You can once you learn your way around it, you can comfortably carry quite a bit. Keep on building those buffs on it. Plus, I think there are trophies for carrying over 50k and carrying over 100k.
Yes, I've gotten both.
So yeah, I'd love that. And also, there is kind of a little conceit, I guess, that goes beyond here. Whereas we mentioned the three main comic book characters, and Iron Mouse seems to have a legendary comic book status in Central Production B. That there's a group of villains hanging around a group of Iron Mouse candy vending machines. Now, defeating a certain enemy throughout the game gives you coins, and you pointed this out to me, but to approach one of these, a wall goes, click, remove, and their god is revealed. You get this, and you walk in there, and you get a full set of Iron Mouse armor. Now, not only are the gear lights on most suits, they're on sort of the waist or the chest. They're on his ears.
Yep.
But all combat noises when you're wearing the Iron Mouse suit are literally 70s martial arts, like. And I just think that was genius.
Do you know what's the best thing about this suit? 0 core power use.
Yeah, so your core power is what you level up with your tech scrap, and
stuff costs you power to equip. So your arm might cost you 4, your helmet might cost you 3, your chips might cost you 7, 8, 9. So that's kind of the maximum you can equip. This stuff costs 0, so you can go nuts on your chips.
Also, as I understand it, if you fight Carbon Cat wearing the Iron Mouse armor, you get an upgraded version of the weapon that Carbon Cat drops at the end.
I heard that after I did it, and I was so annoyed that I didn't realise.
Because you can't just wear one piece of Iron Mouse armor either.
It's all of it.
Yeah. But I love the sound effects. I was laughing so hard at those sound effects. But again, another brilliant idea. And setting it behind a wall with all of those guys there, who are clearly massive Iron Mouse fans. And the surge happened, and they've seemingly gathered around this papal magnet. But I didn't expect a full set of Iron Mouse armor to be in there.
No, I thought like some fun stuff maybe, but like it's almost reverential. It's like, he is here to save us.
Yeah, where they. And even when you go into your equipment and you're wearing that, it will still play the Iron Mouse theme.
It plays the jingle every time you put it on.
Did you hear? Is it in Cowboy Land, or is it somewhere else where there's an audio log where somebody? Oh, no, it's in the second game that I watched the footage of, where somebody is having a pop at the guy playing Iron Mouse in the Iron Mouse movie is too fat for the role. And I was laughing my socks off at it. It was really funny.
Oh, that's good.
It was essentially because there's a comic shop in the Surge 2 in the opening level, and that's called something like Iron Mouse Comics or whatever. And I swear it's a riff on Comic Book Guy from the Simpsons, where this guy is just moaning about the how.
I think it's just every internet nerd.
Yeah,
these days, isn't it?
But again, it proper made me giggle. But
I like that Warren is clearly an Iron Mouse fan as well,
because he's wearing the T-shirt, isn't he? When he first goes in.
Well, you kind of went, but you find out why he's wearing the T-shirt in the Creo World DLC.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah. So, yeah, crazy smitten with that. But we have
also,
to talk,
right? You get to go on a roller coaster.
Yeah, and it plays the music and it goes to first person.
Genius. Give me that. I mean, Resident Evil door transitions have evolved, haven't they?
Do you know what the cool thing about watching Coast stream on this was? He got his webcam and he sort of boosted himself up so he was the right size for the roller coaster. And then he went through and he was just raising his hands and like, woo! It's brilliant. So funny. But so if that is a walk in the park, which I think we both will agree is superb.
Brilliant.
Superb. But do you want to talk a bit more about the good, the bad, and the augmented?
Yeah. So
you got to this before me, and you've done more of it than me. So
I cracked in quick.
While I draw the curtains.
Yeah, so I cracked in quick to this. So, Good, Bad, the Augmented is, as we said before, a scientist within Creo Place has his favourite TV show got cancelled, and he thinks
the creator died.
Yeah, the creator died. The show got cancelled, and it's like, but it was just getting good. We're at season 7. Things are finally starting to get there. And revealed in these audios, he's a massive fan of it, and makes his own podcast about it. And I kind of feel like a little bit attacked about that. Living in that sphere, like it's too real. Again, like the sort of slow decision he goes to, kind of, I can do this. I'll fix this show. I'll create the ending. I know what I'm doing. I'm a big fan. I know this show better than anybody. I can do this. And how the DLC actually plays out is you approach a console in this testing chamber and you select one of the missions, and it basically constructs the mission for you. Like, it puts it together behind the scenes, almost like when you play Portal and it kind of builds stuff for you, and you can go, okay, I'm going to do this now. You'll choose a mission, it'll give you a boss, you can then apply modifiers on it, so it's a bit more arcadey, a bit more gamey than the Creo World one. It's more about, pick a mission, add your mods on, have some fun. And as you add more modifiers on, they have a different star rating, and if you complete a modifier, you will get a piece of gear, and if you complete all 4 modifiers in a set, you will get a good piece of gear. Some of the modifiers will only unlock when you've done certain things, like got to a certain chapter, or beaten a level doing this, that, the other. So you can't unlock everything from the get-go, but on any level you do, if you apply modifiers, you get a better chance of getting cool stuff drop. You'll get more scrap, you'll get more. The end boss of each level will have like the better version of its gear. There are 6 gear sets, I believe, you can get from the thing. There's the Metal Wolf set, there's the Stealthy Undertaker set, and there's like a Bandito set as well.
There's individual hats like cowboy hats, gold hats. There's the ability to have a Mohican haircut.
Yeah,
is one of them. There's a purple sombrero.
I like the purple sombrero. There's a golden cowboy hat, which is pretty fun. There's a wolf head, like a furry wolf face you can get. There's a pair of cool shades, a pair of cool sunglasses.
Yeah, I got those and I wondered where I got them from. I was like, what?
Cool pair of sunglasses. So you can, by applying new mods on, you can play the mission. You can play the mission without the mod if you want, and you'll still beat it. But if you apply mods, you get a better chance of the end boss having the better version of its gear on. So, like the Bandito set, it will start off like a kind of dark, greasy set, and as you get the better versions, it's like white. Like bright white set. The Spirit Wolf has like a weird wolf set where everything's just shinier and bigger and more metal. It's fun to push yourself as well because there's some really good mods in there. Yeah,
really good. My favourite is you have no injectors, but any health that you lose, it turns to cheese.
Yes.
And you can pick it back up. But as you pick it back up, it does like a Mario, like bling, bling, bling.
Yep.
Bling, bling, bling.
That one's a fun one. So they've grouped them in different. So there's a health one where, like, one of them, you don't get health packs, but you can find them on the floor. There's one which is called Leech, which is the hardest one, where when you punch an enemy, you get some health back. If they punch you, they get some back. So you've got to keep on the attack, which is a really good one. There's one where it makes the camera go all black and white and like shaky and grainy. And if you do a finisher, it cuts away and goes, "Ooh, careful now, Warren!"
Really,
and then cuts back.
I've not done any of those.
It's really funny. And there's no sound effects. It's deadly silent as well. That's really fun. I quite like the black belt one where you have to punch everything, and if you punch armored sections of enemies, you get damaged because you're hurting your knuckles on their armor.
Oh, I haven't done that one. I like there's the one where the enemies drop cores which
blow up,
are normally from the mechs on Creo World, but essentially they're like bombs on the floor that whoever goes near them they will detonate. There's one where every time you defeat an enemy, you will swap weapons with it.
That one's fun.
Yeah, so you'll get there's There's one
There's
where
one where you have to. There's one where you start with no armor and you have to cut armor off of enemies, and you can equip the random odd bits of shit that you pick up.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
That one's fun.
There's one where if you don't cut a body part off the enemy, they will explode.
Yep. There's another really good one which I kind of tried in combination with some other ones, and it was fucking terrifying. Basically, fire bombs appear on the floor under you, and you've got a few seconds, and then they explode, and everything in that ring gets hurt.
Invisible enemies, but just weapons.
Yes. Oh my god, invisible enemies, but just weapons. There's one as well where it's adrenaline. So if you stand still, time slows down and you do less damage. If you run around a lot, time speeds up and you do more damage.
There was one I was doing earlier today where you had to time your attacks, and if you timed them wrongly, they did less damage, and if you timed them perfectly, they did more. I didn't quite click what I was doing right or wrong on those. But
it discourages spamming. You're kind of having to hit the sweet spot of when you go bam, bam.
I did like on that level as you're going through it. Oh god, there's that great line. It was just like. Talk about taking your sweet time. Get off the steed and do the deed.
Yeah.
But there's the bit with the kind of cowboys that are on, like, painted on bits of woods but have got laser guns.
Yeah,
that
they're
are just
fun.
sort of raising on bits of string and, like, firing and then falling back. And
I like when you've gone through a level the first time, because it kind of constructs each level out of 4 or 5. I think there's like 6 bits, and it plugs 2 of them together and puts a boss on the end. So it's not like 9 amazingly designed level. It's like 9 chunks that you'll play through, and like, there's one that's a train, and there's one that's like a little village. There's one that's a town. There's one that's a graveyard. It just kind of plugs a few together. There's one that's on the side of a mountain, and the sun will damage you if you stand in the sunlight. I thought that was quite fun. But as you go through each part, once you've unlocked the shortcuts, you can just kind of cut off half the level if you want to just do a quick run through it. And you'll pipe over going, ever the lazy one, our hero took a shortcut. Again.
There's one boss where there's the boss and kind of a load of mirages, but they're all in kind of like a Mexican guitar group, but they're holding their spears like guitars, and only one of them is the actual boss, and they move around.
Yeah, the boss will kind of wave them, and they'll all kind of run a little short distance and attack, and you have to keep moving. There's different things that happen at the end. There's like the laser that goes across, or those cardboard cowboys will shoot out as well. Like there's lots of different modifiers for the end. I love playing around with these. I did all of them. Like I had real fun. Like I've just put level 1 and just played it like 8 or 9 times, just kind of putting different mods on and seeing what happened. Some combinations do not fucking work together.
It feels good that there's something that's so outlandish that pulls you so far out of your comfort zone, not only within this game, but in the Souls sort of genre anyway. And considering that so many people turned their nose up at it, us included, because they were just like, it's just copying our Souls. When there are some genuinely brilliant ideas here, and it encourages you to go through this particular DLC by giving you a ton of tech scrap as reward.
Loads of tech scrap and loads of fun things to wear. Outfits. Yeah. Like here's lots and lots of weapons. Here's lots and lots of outfits. Here's some hats that don't fuck with your gear, so you can wear them. And I thought, right, that I would like. Well, I've got my real gear on, my liquidator gear. I'm not going to want to put a cowboy hat on top of all that. It's going to look stupid. Oh no, it's golden. Oh no, I'm wearing that for the rest of the game, aren't I? And then I did. Oh, it's just good. It's just good shit, man. It's good shit. I would say in terms of like a full complete piece, Creo World is definitely like the better game area. But as a fun like arcadey set of challenges and like fun things to do, this is that, and it's got a fun story behind it as well. It's a little more interconnected by the audio logs than it is by an ongoing theme. With Career Worlds, you kind of move through and see things change as you go through it. But this is more like, oh, here's challenge, here's challenge, here's challenge, and this is why I am. This is the boss. I didn't mind that. I thought it was a nice change of pace. I liked the modifiers. It felt goofy, but without being stupid. Like it was like it's just fun, and like, it was very much a DLC focused on this is going to be a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, it's going to take you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but you know, it's all connected to. And who's to say that this wasn't just a great way of kind of Creo themselves doing some sort of training that is a little bit left of centre and a little bit off the wall, and but we see our narrator going a little bit mad if you read that, if you listen to that podcast, where it's just like my podcast review of episode 79 seemed to be set in a mine. I couldn't see anything. Nobody was talking. Then I realised that my TV wasn't plugged in. So yeah,
podcasters, we're wrong about stuff.
But it was mentioned on my Twitter that this was, the Creo World was the best DLC that anyone had ever played. They loved it that much, and I think the DLC for both the DLCs for this game, stunning, just really, really stunning, and actually enhance the game. Can you believe that? They're not just a paid tag on. They actually do something genuinely different and enhance and support the main game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So
all I have is yeah. It's really good.
So beyond those, I ventured a bit further at the weekend into the fourth area, and I took down a boss with a quirk which initially came from you. Now there's a boss battle called the Black Cerberus, where you're confronted by the head of the security team in chunkier armour than the rest of the Gorgon armoured cops that you've had before, and Black Cerberus comes out with this massive electric axe. He slides around trying to take your legs and then swipes down with his crackly blade, and at one point he runs away and out comes a massive Pax robot. Now, we've experienced fighting the Pax robot from the end of the first level, so he's not too hard getting his legs and giving him hell when he's down, but I was having trouble when Black Cerberus himself emerged. I'd mentioned a quirk regarding a certain boss battle in the sequel that I'd seen on Co-Carnage's stream, and you tipped the hat towards something similar being a quirk here too. You mentioned that there are energy tanks in certain parts of the arena which power the Black Cerberus's energy charge.
Worth noting, I didn't know about this. I heard about it afterwards and didn't know what they even looked like.
So I went in. I wasn't sure how to destroy it. I wasn't even sure where they were, what they looked like, or which bits of the arena they were. I got killed by the Pax robot, and one of its missiles must have piled into it, but I wasn't sure, and I was like, okay. So I then had a go up at a YouTube vid, and they highlighted drawing the Pax into destroying the tanks with its weaponry. But they also shared something else really cool, which I've taken into my game since. I've been using the drone ability where it drops an incendiary flare near the enemy, and it's been really good for me. And, you know, covers them in lots of delicious fire. Now, the fellow on the video at this point suggested the melee drone, which I hadn't used. Recommendation went on and said to let Black Cerberus attack, then slide in yourself, wallop him, do this a few times and build up enough energy to launch the drone. When Black Cerberus gets back up and comes at you, the drone will then knock him clean off his feet, leaving you open to get stuck in and do more damage. And I was like, oh my, literally, it backs up and then just goes at him and just literally uppercuts him under the chin. And knocks him flying over the floor, and you can get in. If you slide in and you do an attack again, you're more or less up to bringing the drone out again. And it's really good, especially in that boss battle. But yeah. So and I'd used it like beyond that level, and it is genuinely really good. I wasn't honestly sure quite where to go after this, but I remember you saying that all of those security doors will now be available. So I went in and I had to go up around. I couldn't remember where they were, so I headed back to Central Ops and unlocked the Black Cerberus rig, which held the security clearance. Found a door near the Black Cerberus battle and began to climb Creo Tower. At this point...
Wait a second, you skipped a chunk.
What?
You've skipped a significant chunk. You've skipped the whole of R&D.
Go on.
Robot Land.
Yes, this is true. I sort of alluded to it a little bit earlier on with the...
No, I like Robot. I love...
Talk about Robot Land. Yeah,
so Robot
I
Land,
got it in the notes.
I think you're on the way to the rocket production area. Like, you're wandering forwards. As you're going through, like, the floor breaks out. and you fall through. You're like, oh shit! Like, I've fallen through. Shit. Where am I? It drops you into a place, and normally you can get back to where you've been. This is its own place, and it feels like, I don't know, almost like some sort of like foyer of a building, of like some sort of like wanky tech company foyer where you can see all the balconies from where you are, and there's lots of like elevators and artwork, and like,
Paddy,
this is our first one of these.
I know. We're all in pain.
Yeah.
That's that ding, 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 and that video that keeps playing. The amount of times in my head I was waiting for the, I know, we're all in pain.
Yeah. Fuck off, Don. But yeah, I love this place. Like, I really enjoyed like just finding all the little shortcuts here. Really looks around stuff. You find a guy's like, I've lost my daughter. Like, I need you to find her.
You said you found her, and I didn't.
Yeah. She's a robot.
What?
You know the three-wheeler things, the big like metal-fronted things with the welding torches where you have to smash from behind with like the two with the trolley wheels at the front. It's one of them. You go through and there's a red one. She's like, oh, hello. Oh, I couldn't find my daddy. We got split up. I'm like, this isn't normal.
Oh.
Yeah, but there's a photograph in that room of a small girl.
No.
Yeah. I don't know if she's in there or if he's like made a robot like her, but I didn't find the end of this plot, because her wheel was damaged and she needed a spare wheel. And I did pick one up, but I never went back to drop it off because it was kind of late in the game when I did this. But like, I mean, yeah, and like there's like a lot of like gears and blood and material in the room where she's hiding. And you're like, something bad happened.
Dear Lord.
Yeah. I did reunite her. So she came back to Ops to sat with him. And they asked me to go find a leg for them. I kind of never managed it because I didn't really get there in time. I didn't really see another one of these robots because you have to cut one of the robots' limbs off. But I wanted to go back, but now I've finished the game. I bloody can't, can I? Like an idiot. But it seems like it's going to have a good resolve. She's somewhere in the like sort of second half of the level. She's just kind of in a room. You're like, oh, I know who this is. Oh shit. So yeah, that was a time. That was a time to have. But I think the game really, I mean, this sort of level really opens up when you hit the robot production area where you start meeting the Proteus robots, which are the aforementioned Terminators that fall over and then get back up and have another pop. And like, I was feared.
Fantastic things.
And they attack quick as well. They are fast. Like, you can't block up and wait.
It adds a little bit. When you first see them, there might even be a point in your head where you go, yeah, that might attack me. But when seeing and hearing something walk through glass, through a glass case to come and get you, is terrifying. And also, you might be in a room where you haven't acknowledged that there's one of those in a glass case, and seeing that it just and just comes at you, it made me jump like a loon. And then, of course, you see the more advanced versions of them later on as well, with the armour on them. And even ones that seem to have human body parts attached.
Yeah, they seem just like rigs that had nothing in them that were attacking on their own, with like maybe head sections in there, but nothing else. Like, there's a chunky boy, like a mini-boss in here. I think he's the bloodied Proteus test subject, I think he's called.
Yeah, Bloody Proteus, yeah.
And I farmed him for ages because he dropped Mark IV upgrade gear. I went back and forth to this guy several times, but like the area where you meet all these robots is kind of like almost a lab, and you kind of go through opening and closing doors, so you can go through and you don't actually have to fight that many of them. You can shut doors behind you and they can't get through them. As you kind of progress through, the scientist there is giving you shit the whole time. It's like, you've come to do an inspection, have we?
Yeah, there is something like a 60s TV show about his narration, where underneath it he's probably terrified, but he's just go, this could be considered snooping.
Yeah.
But also when you meet him and he's just like, what's done is done. What you can do? Kill me? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you? Because I did. Because when you find him, you go into his room and he literally is slamming like a lockdown button. Like,
yeah.
Open all the doors, go. Like, oh, shit.
It's done.
And there's nothing you can do about it. And he does his big spiel about, I believe, Homo Machinalis is what he wants to create.
Yeah.
A human Proteus robot test thing. And he properly, like, I think, properly mad scientists out for a bit.
But there is the aspect of almost like the Avengers Endgame thing, where I think he's the guy that was saying, look, for years we've been talking about population management. This has done it for us. So he's not saying, ha ha ha, I'm going to do this. This is my big plan. He's saying, this has happened. It's done us a favour. What I think we should do now is be better than the situation that we're in. And again, it's a scientist point of view rather than a human point of view. But I see where he's going with it, and that seems to be kind of building the robot outwards and with us essentially becoming like a different race.
Yeah. But I definitely then killed him.
Oh, I 100% killed him.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
It was his tone I didn't like. Apparently, if you don't, he's a boss fight.
Really?
Not like a mini boss, but like he's still something you can fight later, like a fully Homo Machinalist up version of.
Really?
Him. Apparently so. Yeah, apparently so. I only heard about this. I haven't done it, but God, it sounds fun though, doesn't it?
That's really good. I like that it's not just that decision. Then it's not just kill him or not, and the reflection is on you as to whether you want to end somebody that's doing what's cracking off. But yeah, that's really neat.
It's really
that's
clever.
really exciting, and all of this stuff is priming like further playthroughs. Because I've already Co-Carnage, when he did his second playthrough of the Surge, and he hadn't played Creo World or The Good, the Bad, and the Augmented at that point. He was doing a different build than he'd done before. I think he was going with like heavy weapons rather than faster ones or whatever it was. But it actually feels like in this game that builds hold up. You could go through the game concentrating on a certain weapon. And also there is the aspect where you get proficiency on weapons as well. The more you use them, the more they level up, and they drop that in the sequel.
Oh, interesting. So there's less. I think that's maybe what stopped me from using other weapons more, because I'd invested so heavy in single rig.
That's exactly it. So you can try any new weapon at any given
that.
time.
It's clever.
We'll go into that in a bit. But
clever.
You're right. This whole level is superb, and goes from that big open foyer into lots of very tiny, twisty-turny rooms and levels, and they're all a joy to be in.
But this is a place where everything changes, because once you've done this, the lockdown's open, the robots have gotten out, and then security are called to go and clean them up. So there's now security, the guys with the video camera heads that hang out in Central Production B, they're everywhere now.
But is this the point where I went back to Central Production B and I started swearing? I don't want to spoil this for anybody that's going in, but serious shit happens in Central Production B, which genuinely took me by surprise. When I was swearing at the screen and I was swearing at you, and I completely didn't expect that would be cracking off.
And once you did, I knew where you were. Like the second I was like, I know what you've done. You've done the thing. Oh no, the thing. Gene, really good. I love this bit, and I love the ramifications this area then had on the rest of the game. And then once you've got your security rigs, you can go through security guards. You can go up the tower to the executive forum.
Yes.
Now you can continue.
So at this point, the game becomes Apple meets Die Hard with Radiohead's No Surprises playing in the background. And all of this, I mean, we've mentioned that there's lots of sort of weirdness in this game. This level in particular felt so weird in a Souls game. Like, wondrously so. So you're standing in this corporate division that's all wooden panelling against crisp white, pebbled flooring, pop art on the walls, and these
planters and all sorts of stuff everywhere. Art.
These soothing piano arpeggios, like playing over the top. In the same way as the Gwyn fight from Dark Souls, I guess. Plus, we're at this point in the game, which feels, at that point, felt very much like Endgame, and so much was still up in the air. And like I say, we get loads of resolution in this, and loads of swearing, and yet there are these conspiracies rising, and you stand in this level, and it's all this polish and all this serene, and yet you look there's a way that the floor kind of swoops upwards, that there are these kind of panels to the left and the right of you, and you can go down the middle, you can walk across the lovely pebbles, and you can see bad guys sort of down below, but you can also see these rising swooshes that are just full of boys. And then attached to those are smaller little rooms and stuff, but it just looked phenomenal. And I was going along just thinking how beautiful and serene it sounded. And essentially they put the end of the world into this place that was supposed to relax upper management. And it just felt great.
Yeah, it really did feel like a wanky upper management, like the top floors of the cool building where the good bathrooms are.
And if you leave your character alone in the game, he will kind of look around him and sort of even look back at you through the telly. And I'm there with my pleather spacesuit on and my mech arms and my head of the coffee mascot I murdered. And he just looked back at me as if, like, on the couch, as if he was going like, what the fuck is this? I was like, yes, Bradley, yes.
Look at this, it's clean.
Fantastic level. And we meet an old friend that we met back in Central Production B again. And that's another point that I just started to swear. In fact, we'd see two old friends on this level.
Yeah.
And they're both really good moments.
Swearing moments.
Yeah. One of them in particular. And that room, dear God, that room. I think that was
We're being vague here because we don't want to spoil it, but fuck me, what a room.
That I dropped my controller. I actually dropped it because I wasn't expecting it. And this is amongst 3 literal shotgun blasts of shit that's gone down, and they don't even prep you for them. They just it's so good. And I know the one that you were alluding to earlier, and that was really good, especially with the voiceover that was playing.
The green room.
Yeah.
Yep.
And but the one that we both know we're being vague about. Jesus Christ. So that's an exceptional level. Just an exceptional level. And I love my time there. Plus, once again, it introduced new enemies to us. We got those drones, but they've got the ones that carry the bombs this time.
Oh, they got me a couple of times. I felt like a right dick.
Got me the first time. But also, as you proceed up in the level, you see like certain doors, and there's loads of boys near it, and then you start to see those robot dogs again, but they're in really tiny spaces. And you're like,
hey, look at that. There's a black Cerberus guy there. Why is he here?
And you hear stuff like, we got an intruder on the floor, we're going to need some help. And I'm like, oh, Christ, that's terrifying, but great.
And you go through, and then there's a lot of boys. You're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's fab. But, yeah, brilliant level. But that then leads us to the final level, where they just completely change things up again, give us 2 new enemies, who were bastards.
Utter bastards. Yep.
One of them, I'd say I call them the spinning top, where they seem to armor different parts of their body at different times. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what's good? To get their gear, you have to cut off the bits that aren't armored. Which is really, and if you attack a certain piece, they'll armor that piece up. So you've got to change what you're targeting as you fight them.
Yeah.
So good.
Naughty, but
so
brilliant.
Good.
And I like how they scatter some of the early like zombie-like enemies from the very first level in there as well, who are sort of not only like distraction and stuff, but you kind of, how can I draw you to me and not have the spinning top? And then they
mix the Proteus, the Terminator ups as well, because like by that point you've forgotten that they get back up, so you'll fight them, you'll get on, and you'll be fighting this horrible spinning blue zombie thing, and then it'll attack from the back like, oh, I forgot about them, and
they've evolved again.
Yeah,
they're kind of looking a little more menacing. They're not just the skeleton this time. They're
they're thicker.
And then you've got those sort of nanite dogs that send out the little.
It's called a nanite mass. It's a big blob of like angry nanotechnology.
And you told me how to defeat them because I didn't know how to do it.
It took me a while as well. To beat them, you have to smash them down and then run up to them and use your core power to overcharge them, or they'll just reconstitute themselves and get back up and be just as strong. And you've got to fight them again. And they are no joke.
They are brilliant.
They're strong boys, and they do drop rarely the items you need to get to level 5.
One of my favourite moments on this was a really subtle moment, and I'm not going to spoil it at all, but there's a point where I pressed the button and something happened, and it wasn't a lift. And I was genuinely, I literally applauded. And it was just so good. And I did like the fact that there's a certain point where you will be attacked by one of those nanite mass things, and you will go to Central Ops and it will shut the door and just say there's an intruder going on lockdown.
Yeah.
You bastard.
Please clear the area. Like, no, I came here to be safe. No, why? Please don't do this to me, game. I want to be safe now.
So, yeah, I mean...
Brilliant level, though. Really, really cool level. There's a couple of rooms in this as well, like, that are just like you walk in like, oh, fuck, this is like, they almost came here and fixed it.
Really? How so?
There's part of what the lady Moira something from Biolabs gives you to go and basically like, hey, this will fix the shit they're going to shoot into space.
The virus, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a guy on the floor yards from where he had to put it in. And you find it like the audio log on him, it's like, shit, he almost made it. And you then got a choice of whether you can, ruin things or not. It's up to you at that point, and you can kind of take what you've been told and do what you want, and it unlocks two different endings, I think there are. But yeah, you make a choice there. You don't have to do it.
Oh.
I did the thing because it felt like the right thing to do, but you can make a choice.
Oh.
Right?
Jesus Christ. Honestly, this game just keeps getting better. And it brings me back to a From comparison. I don't need 20 odd levels, just 8 to 10 odd, just fantastic. And when they're done, when they're curated to this sort of degree, when it's up front, but it's holding things back for you, that it's sincere. I don't find that any of the revelations are hidden from me. They're there. I just need to find them. And at this point, you've finished it.
Yes.
I'm at the last boss, but I've decided to go through again the whole thing and just find the stuff that I've not completed. Plus, I might buy that DLC that's got the implant that beeps when you're near stuff, just so I can kind of be completionist. I'm sure it's only about like £2.
Yeah.
But
so this is an interesting point now, because the last boss I think is one of the only things I didn't like. I don't think.
Okay.
It does feel a little bit like boom, here's a big bad, enjoy, and it's not even a bad, like it's a piece of tech that's gone mental, and maybe that has some ramifications to why the surge happened in the first place, but it does kind of feel a little bit like, oh, here's the bad guy. I don't feel like there was a lead up to it as good as the other stuff.
It felt very much like a consequence of what happened, because I still think it's that Resolve was doing its thing but not doing it quick enough, and then Utopia came in and got results, but all of that went wrong. And I still think that what went wrong is just everything that's underneath it, including this, and all the way that the people have reacted, the workforce, the corporate, the scientists have all been like ricochets from that happening. So I didn't feel like that this was the thing that was behind it. I just think that this was the last thing in place waiting for you, because you've got that great thing with the scientist that's reaching towards that weapon as well, that's just been frozen in nanite as he's reaching for it, and I just get the feeling that this is the worst of what's happened, and that's where it is.
Yeah. I think it's a good fight as well. Like, I think the fight of the first half, I think I quite like. I didn't quite like the second half when it sort of changes to something else. But I think it's a good fight. I don't know. I get where it's come from, and I get what it is. It's kind of, I wasn't expecting it to talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just felt like this should just be a roaring mass of insanity, and it wasn't. And it's like, I mean, it kind of unlocked some new ideas about what's going on, but I wasn't sure if I was satisfied by it. But there's something I need to bring up with you now.
Okay.
So, we were talking on Twitter yesterday.
Is it the elephant in the room?
Today, yes. So, we were talking, you saying about you're running into a little bit of a bug on your game, where it's apparently it's a known Xbox One X bug, where if you use the med station in the last level, it crashes the console.
And you're
fighting around it. Yeah, and you're sort of fighting around it. So you said, oh, well, whereabouts? Well, I beat the boss at level 95, and I'd put some core power things on. So essentially I was running a 125 power build, which was just loaded up on big health. I think I had 700 and something health.
Wow.
And like 12 of the big health injectables. So I just went hard on the big stuff, because that's the stuff I thought would be most useful. And it worked, that's big boys, big toys, you know what I mean? And you mentioned like, oh, how are you ahead? Because I've done a lot of, you said you'd done a lot of grinding. And I'd done some, but I wouldn't say I'd done tons. I'd more grinded for gear than I'd grinded for tech scrap, really. So I was kind of just going in, finding the enemy I needed, killing him, taking the stuff out of him, going back and repopping everything, and then upgrading my gear when I could. So I'd not really gone hard on grinding, which you had. And you said, oh, I'm level 90. I said, well, I'm level 95. And you asked me how the hell I'd leveled up so quick. And I was like, well, I just, popped the consumables when I used them. If you got any of them to use up, maybe they'll get you there. To which you replied, what consumables? So as you play through the game, you'll pick up piles of rare scrap. So pile of rare tech scrap, broken tech scrap. These are kind of like the soul of an aimless soldier things from Souls. They're kind of a soul, an item you can pop to give you items.
Or the bloodstone chunks in
the blood chunks. So I was incredulous with you at this point. I was like, did you not look in your menu? Please explain how you didn't know this.
Right, so...
Because I'm confused.
So I kind of presumed when I'd been picking those up that when I went to the gear station that they were being broken down into scrap automatically with the things that that I didn't...
Okay.
Like the stuff that... Because when you cut off a limb with a piece of armour, you will get the blueprint for that, but when you cut that limb off with the armour on again, it will be a broken version of it, and it will break it down into items that you can use for upgrading. And I presumed that all of those little things that I was picking up, it was breaking down. I hadn't actually been into that menu. So yeah, I didn't... When you were going like, oh, don't forget to... I didn't forget. I didn't know it was a thing. So you were like, go on, look how much you've got. Take a picture. And I was like, okay. So I took a look, and I laughed. I laughed a lot. And I told you I wouldn't tell you how much it was until this podcast.
I've been waiting all day for this.
I didn't just want to kind of... I just do the breakdown button, because it took a while. I actually... was leaning into my telly. I got a calculator on my PC. I got a calculator on my phone, and I was literally adding it all together before I broke it down.
Right.
So, when broken down, the amount of scrap that I had available that I didn't realise I had was 583,303. I'll say that again.
Oh my god! Crying! I'm actually crying. Jesus fucking Christ, man!
I'll say that again. If you're sitting carefully, just beyond...
Holy shit!
Just beyond the shock of the thing. When broken down, the amount of scrap I had available, which I didn't know I had, which I hadn't used, the amount of scrap was 583,303.
Oh, wow.
Took a while to break that down.
How long did it take?
Leveled up a bit.
How long did it take to break it all down?
Quite a long time.
Do you know how many like items there were? Like how many individual bits of scrap you'd picked up? Like it said like 28 of these, 33 of those.
Yeah, let me power the PC on because I did take a... Sorry, not the PC. Oh, did it take a picture on the PC? No, I didn't. It is on the Xbox. So, large pile of high-tech scrap worth 20,000 scrap. I had 2 of those.
Okay.
The next one, I've only taken a picture of the main screen, but I had there's a stupendous amount, even the big ones. I had 2, 13, 5, 11. The smaller ones I had 156, 181, 104.
Holy shit!
Yeah, there's a lot that's there.
That's incredible. Do you know roughly how many levels that took you up?
I just switched the PC off, but I think I'd spent all that on leveling up and.
Because you were starting at level 90, that's probably 10 straight levels, right?
Yeah, I think I'm. I don't know. I think the leveling was about 60,000 at that point anyway.
Okay.
So I think it's taken me above 100, but not quite to 105 yet.
Okay. So here's the lesson for everybody. If you're playing the Surge, open up your inventory and look at the consumables and look at them.
Who knew?
I'm gobsmacked. That is just.
583,303.
I was thinking maybe 150,000, maybe 200,000. I don't really know how much you get out of these things. 500,000.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
So yeah,
incredible.
So did you? I've not gotten to the ending. Do you think it was a good ending?
I enjoyed it for sure. I was not a fan of the fact that it's a CG ending.
Okay.
It's not very long, but it puts Warren in gear that I wasn't wearing, if that makes sense. I would rather it would have been in engine, because that wasn't my guy. But I get why they do it, because it's kind of exciting and things happen. And it does end on a wonderful ending as well.
Cool.
I think that it kind of does almost like a what's going to happen cliffhanger type of ending. It kind of ends with not quite a resolution of something, and then you kind of get news reports kicking in about stuff happening.
Right. Say no more. I'll look forward to getting to that.
It's a bit Metal Gear.
So there's a little. That must have been a nice touchstone for you.
It was, yeah. I halfway expected someone to say, "Mr. President," and then a bong in the background.
So as a little sidestep before we move on, I saw a Digital Foundry video, which was...
I love them.
No, this is really good. It was when the game first came out, when the game was purely on standard Xbox One, PS4 and PS4 Pro, and it was a bit of an eye-opener. Now, they said that the game is actually running on Deck 13's own engine.
Okay.
Which for a smaller company, that's a big deal. And
it's impressive, yeah.
They praised the amount of options in the menus, the lighting, the shadows, but also even the base machines more or less hit their 30 frames per second mark. Also, no frame pacing issues.
Ooh.
Something From Software continue to face. PS4 Pro, like Xbox One X patch, which came much later, has both quality and performance options, so you can do 4K at 30 frames per second or 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is what I've been playing. I hadn't really sat back and considered just what the game is doing under the hood, which is exactly the way it's supposed to be. It's desperately impressive that a smaller developer has their own engine finessed to this degree, ironing out aspects that From themselves have been able to do over games. Although on that front, it is interesting to note that Elden Ring is apparently running on Unreal Engine 4, so perhaps that's something From looking to iron out themselves. But
I will say, I thought this game does run smooth as shit.
It's really well done.
It works. It's well put together, and it doesn't lag. There's no, like you're saying, there's no frame hangs or anything. Wherever I'm going, it keeps up.
Yeah, and
it looks lovely. There's
no point where you feel that, I don't know. I've never thought any of those battles run fair. I never thought that there was stuttering or slowdowns or anything like that.
No. When I died, it was because I ran into 8 dudes at once, not because the game was like...
Plus, that lighting and shadow work is exceptional.
I love that on my Liquidator armor, when you turn the lights on, they're green.
Yeah.
And it's just a little touch. It's I like that.
I agree. Also, if we're talking in that, and we spoke about the biolabs, but there are some boys later on who fire out these canisters from a gun that lodges on the floor, and they kind of slow you down, but also they mask the area in like different colours, and they look incredible.
Really good,
like really, really good.
Goopy gassy goop. I liked it.
But in sort of 3D-ish sort of ways and mirrored and just phenomenal.
Do you know there's a really cool effect in one of the later bits where there's two guys and one has that goopy stuff and one has a flamethrower, and the flamethrower ignites the goop
and he blows up.
And you're in a corridor like, oh, piss!
I did laugh at that.
Yeah, it was funny.
But,
and then when I picked myself up and stuffed myself full of drugs, I killed their ass.
As a very brief aside, merch. Where is the merch?
Where is the search?
There is
merch.
Well done. There are so many amazing designs in this game, particularly in the DLC, and I'd take the plunge for so much of it. And also, when Kokarnis was running through his run, he was wearing an Iron Mouse t-shirt.
I'd wear that.
But give me, you know, in Korea World, those Iron Mouse posters that look really, really 2000 AD.
Yeah,
they look like they're drawn by Jock. And those are really good. I'd have those on a t-shirt. The Popcorn Parade advert I'd have on a t-shirt. Korea World logo on a t-shirt.
I think you'd have a little statue of Bradley the Bean, wouldn't you?
I love Bradley the Bean. I think he's great. I'd take both variants. But they're all fantastic designs. And I mentioned this to Deck 13 on Twitter, and they were like, we're getting increasing calls to do this sort of thing. It's something that we should look into. In fact, that reminds me, was with Jeremy Greer mentioned that he'd listened to the last episode recently and that he'd really enjoyed it. But he actually said that the Surge is one of those games that gets roasted for no cause, and at the same time inspired a dedication from its fans that I find really interesting. Which is, it's kind of nice to see that. I think there's a lot of the core Souls audience that seemingly have thrown it away, but this to me may well be top 5 of all time for me. This has hit so many bases for me. I genuinely love it.
It's one of the best Soulsy games I've played in ages. And I just nipping back quick to the merch. Like, they could do some really good, like, subtle merch, couldn't they?
Yeah,
like just that little Creo logo on a t-shirt.
Yeah, just like,
I'd wear that.
You know, like those Uniqlo ones that we looked at on the Huge Monster Teeth, where they've got like the striped shirt and there was just sort of the embossed sort of palico on the side and stuff. Just stuff like that. That'd be really cool. Or oh my god, they got to be like a Creo polo shirt that just looks like corporate merch.
There must be.
Yeah, like you joined Creo and this is what you get for when you're playing squash or something.
The Project Resolve as the shorts.
Yeah, there's so much they could do with this. I'd love.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can speak to somebody because things need to start here.
Do you know what I will say? I think this year Game of the Year is gonna be really fucking difficult. Yeah,
it's gonna be great because let's face it, September's got The Surge 2 and Greedfall coming out. We played this year. If I'm watching Kokarnis play that Fire Emblem game at the minute, which looks incredible. Astral Chain's out at the end of September. There's the Monster Hunter DLCs in September. Sorry, Astral Chain's the end of August. But there's so much coming out. I mean, Greedfall and Surge 2 are my primaries at the minute, which I wouldn't have even vaguely said a month ago. But they're the ones that look the weirdest, and I think that really appeals to me. That I don't know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And this is, like I say, the Surge has thrown me a huge loop. So it's
good. God, it's good. I didn't expect it to be this goddamn... And do you know what? I didn't even download it when it was on Plus.
Didn't need to die. It was only on... I think it was only when I caught, by accident, like, Kokarni starting to play it, and I just went, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. And I was really taken by that opening sequence as well, where we'd spoken about it before, but seeing the train ride into Creo, and then as soon as you give him control of your character, you see that he's sort of in a wheelchair, and then the moment with the drilling in, putting the rig over it without any. Yeah, so
still hurts.
Yeah. So we'll do a sort of a brief bit here about the previews of The Surge 2. A few places received a preview build of the game, and I was always going to watch Kokani's play through it. He's a wonderful man. He's very considerate, loses himself in story and cool moments, and he loves to love game. Doesn't mind a bit of jank. Likes to find the good in things. Yeah. I like that.
He sounds like us.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear, to sit and watch somebody that's not super shouty or rage quitting or anything like that, who takes time to listen to story, that gets invested in characters. Say on that Fire Emblem playthrough he's doing at the minute, that he's getting really proud of these kids that he's been raising that are getting better and better and stuff, and knowing them by name and taking time out to like give them training and teach them to cook and to solve their problems and finding out about their backstory and stuff. And it feels very relaxing to watch in that regard, and a joy to see somebody enjoying gaming in the way that I would. Also, I think it's really cool that he's a really big fan of LX and was beating the drum for it to such a degree that the creators put in a patch where his logo is in one of the pubs.
That's bonk.
On the wall. But, that I think that says a lot to you as well, because you're a big fan of that game.
That game's really good, and I think you'd like it. I think you should play it.
I think I should buy it before you, and then you just steal it away from me.
Look, we've been there, all right?
Yeah, we have. Okay, moving on. Surge 2, no opening video. So Deck 13 are keeping their powder dry on that front. As a character creator, but you also decide your backstory from the templates as well. So, I got these pictures. So, Mining Wars veteran is the first one. Suppressing a workers' revolt on the lunar colony has left its mark on you. Having been exposed to toxic substances and suffering from PTSD, a taxpayer-funded first-class flight to Jericho City's redeployment center was the least they could do for you. Earth has your back. Search and rescue officer. Despite a world in turmoil, first aid companies like yours can still fail, especially after the public-private aid response was created to take over. Luckily, they are looking for capable staff and sponsored your first-class flight to a job interview in Jericho City. Creo Certified Heavy Operator. Being a human forklift has its limits in terms of career opportunities, and after losing all your savings in 3 lawsuits against the company, you've finally been granted a Creo-paid first-class flight to begin your new life. A new job will be waiting for you, and you fought hard to get it.
That's interesting.
Creo Certified Field Technician. Repairing robots day in, day out ensured a safe job as a hardware and software expert. That is until an advanced AI protocol made your position redundant. Luckily for you, Creo sponsored a first-class flight to Jericho to help a loyal ex-worker find a new assignment. Former arms smuggler.
Oh my god, they're still going.
There was only one way to break the vicious cycle that had become your life, spending all the money you set aside over the years for this one ticket to bring you to the other end of the world where you hope that the grass is greener, or at least there will be grass at all. And then finally, corporate middle manager. Society might change, but somebody is always needed to run the numbers and keep the board happy. Jobs are rare, so once again, you didn't dare to complain even after you relocated to Jericho City from the other end of the world without much more than a day's notice. At least it's a first-class flight. As I understand it, that plane crashes. Whichever one you choose.
That I've heard. I like the middle manager one.
And
this doesn't seem like it's not. It's not like a class, is it? You're picking like a backstory, not a class. It's not like in Souls where you pick the knight, the pyromancer. You're just picking a plot point.
Yeah, And beyond that, you've got
really cool.
options for general hair, skin, face shape, eyes, eyebrows, nose, mouth, ears, and outfit. So you can pick an outfit, and they've got things like hoodies and like suits and things and stuff that you can start off with, which I find very interesting.
Superb.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks.
So I presumed the opening area was going to be the woodland area from the Rock Paper Shotgun article, but you're actually breaking out of a Resident Evil style police station as all hell breaks loose. Prisoners are unlocked and rioting, and something huge and terrifying roars commandingly in the distance. Now, there's a certain point as you're hearing that, and you know that terrifying knack fish boy creature thing that we saw in one of the trailers, the one that you could parry, the one that it literally runs through an entire wall of the police department.
Oh.
So even beyond that, you're starting out, and the only things that you've got on your hands are like these defibrillators.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're fighting like other criminals that are being unlocked and stuff, and you need to find weapons, you need to find clothing, and you need to get onto the streets. City sprawling, it's huge. There's some interesting connections to the first game in the Aftermath. Crime is high, poverty is rife, and there's a drug called Blue Sparkle. Now, Blue Sparkle is basically nanites that give you a buzz, but actually begin hollowing out the human the more you use them. They're eating you from the inside out until all that remains is mechanoid. There's dead humans being murdered and carved up for meat, which is being sold on the streets. There's religion. There's any form of government struggling to assert itself. It's all chaos, and I'm there for all of it. So there's twice as many weapons. You get combos this time.
I was reading that, yeah. I say reading. I watched the sort of podcasty type video you sent me, which had like a too long didn't read, because I don't have 8 hours to watch a game at the moment. So I watched this, and they mentioned that, you know, when you mix your attacks up, it will say like you got a sweep combo or an overhead smash combo. Like there's different kinds of combo you can do that will have different properties, I guess, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I did like as well where the weapon they were showing off at the time was like an axe that can switch into two small axes, but it's not like you press a button and it turns a different thing. It's depending on how you attack, it changes shape. So if you're tapping the button like you'll do big axe swings. But if you start going tap 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 tap, it becomes the two small axes,
Literally
and you can wheel.
Splits it in half, and he's like, just
that's
like properly going.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you've got access to your shit always without thinking, oh shit, I'm in the wrong mode. Oh, I've done the wrong. You're using your weapon, and that's the move it has.
You've also got charge ups that you can do on every weapon as well. Mm-hmm. So you can stand there. I think you hold down like right 2, and it will literally like bang, and it will charge it up, and then you can go and you can do extra damage.
Wait, you can do that now?
I didn't use that in the first.
CJ,
I didn't use it.
Do we need to have a sit down?
I think we do.
Did you skip the tutorial?
No, because when I was first using the R2, I was just using it on the hammer, which was like the super spin throughs and stuff. I haven't been charging up any of my weapons.
Oh my god!
High hopes.
Did you know you can create new armors when you break weapons or arms off people? I'm just checking that you knew that.
Thanks, bitch. So there's an optional parry system in this one, which is
no, it's not optional though, is it? 'Cause
it is.
It looks brilliant.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
but it's implemented with a mod chip. So this shows you. So could you as with the first game, you'll be glad to know that I know how to block. Didn't use it, but I know how to do it. So the block in the first game, literally you can stop an attack, but with the mod chip. This shows you the direct, like For Honor, it shows you the direction an enemy is swinging, so you can block it, which is indicated by a white arrow, time it, and the arrow goes to green, and you knock the attack back. And you can also parry bosses. There seem to be unblockables at a certain point, where somebody's coming in with something that you couldn't hope to deal with, and literally the arrows just point in every direction. But the game indicates that as well. I fucking love this parry system.
It's everything I've seen of it looks brilliant. It looks like what I'd want, because it looks readable. Like, it's not you're just guessing what's coming. It's giving you clear feedback on like, this is how you do the thing. Enjoy, learn.
It also looks like pretty visceral as well. Like there's a real sort of to it.
And I
like
think as well, if you're
down.
blocking anyway, like it's not a separate button. You're holding block and then moving your block. I think that it means if you block up and you see it coming, but it's not done the arrow yet, you can just like bitch out and just keep holding L1 and block it normally. Like it's not going to be like, oh, I parry or I block. It's not one or the other. You're starting from a block and then adjusting it. So if you do decide, actually, do you know what, I don't feel like parrying this one, you don't have to go, oh, I've already pressed L2 now. Oh, I'm dead. Because there is a very small parrying type mechanic in the Surge, but it's very hard to do. I can't make it work. Did you know about the hop and the duck when you're blocking? If you use the right stick up and down, you can hop and duck.
I'm aware of it, but again,
never used it.
I didn't block too much anyway.
I never used it.
It's really lost in the dash more than anything.
Yeah, 100% dodges all the way. So one of the weapon types I heard about, CJ, there's a power fist. It's punching weapons. There's a punching weapon type.
Yeah, where it will attach over the front of your fists, and it will kind of, that fist will punch outwards, but also kind of it's like a little fist within the punch as well.
So you can go punch and it goes
yeah,
like a little jackhammer on your hands. I'm sold on that already.
On the video, did you see the claws? The like massive mechanical crab claws that he had on his hands.
So dumb, and in a good way though.
So the drones in the first game, but unless you see that Eurogamer video where they go, drones are a thing in the second game. No, they were in the first game as well. But yeah, they're given a deeper role here. Surge 2 features enemies with firearms, cut off the limbs that are holding onto the weapons, and the machine guns can be mounted on the drone.
Because I didn't realise that. I thought that it was like a shoulder gun you can attach to your guy, but it's attached to the damn drone, isn't it?
But you see how big it looks on the backpack. The drone doesn't just kind of disappear into kind of the ether like in the first game. It's literally sitting on your back and looks huge. But yeah, you can
heavy metal predator cannon.
You can mount these on the drones, and I think Ko was saying that they can become so powerful that they can literally take a man out on their own. Which is just phenomenal.
Oh!
Also, you've got we mentioned earlier that the drones in the first game, you could, after a certain point, you could launch them upwards and they can unlock these tech security doors. Now, this is taken on a little bit further in the sequel with them firing what's called an EMP starfish onto the sensor and overriding it. But you can also use the ability on people too, stopping them in their tracks as they're electrocuted, and all of their weapons power down.
I like that. Stun is good.
Yeah.
Stun is good. Apparently there's grenades in this as well now.
That's very cool. So there's multiplayer features. You can leave messages on the ground with a selection of icons to choose from.
I like that. I like those icons. Really simple.
And place in a 3-part grid. For example, if there's a room ahead with a med bay and a healing station, choose up arrow, healing symbol, and one for the med bay. You unlock more of those as you go through the game as well, so you can become more explicit with what you're doing. You can also hide a hologram of yourself.
I love this shit.
And over the course of 60 minutes, the less people who discover it, the more rewards that are afforded to you.
I think that's incredible. I think that's such a good idea. Like, how many... Like, there's going to be a dedicated set of YouTube people who are like, right, where the hell can I put this thing? I can get a 0. No one's going to find this. I'm going to jump through the wall.
Somebody on Ko's Run had done, like, there were 2 sets of stairs going downwards, and there was like a raised platform with like handles on it, and somebody had got their hologram on top of there, but they couldn't actually figure out how they'd done it. And I was like, well played, mate. But
well, shit.
Yeah. So you also discover the corpses of other players and can loot them. This then triggers a revenge enemy, a harder version of whatever killed that player, and defeating it brings even better rewards.
Brilliant.
It mentioned last episode there's improved AI with enemies happy to have one of them target you directly while the other one takes you out from distance. Very cool.
I've noticed that they look smarter. The stuff I've watched, they look like they're people instead of like, brain dead psycho boys.
I love that some of them come running at you actually holding car doors.
Yeah!
And that the car door has a certain amount of armour as well. And I think you can actually, if you attack from the side, you can actually pull it away from their hand.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah, there's just... Ooh. Is there anything else that you saw? Because, I really like Co's stuff, but I thought he was really eloquent, talking about the things he liked in the first one, the things he didn't, but also really enthusing about the stuff that he's seen here.
A couple of things I saw I liked. The upgrades seem to be a bit more intuitive now, so you can break stuff down you're not going to use to get stuff out of it to upgrade with. I think as you're targeting weapons, some of them will have like a little star on them, and they will drop like that limb will drop better stuff. Or like chips to implants and upgrades with, which I think is really fun. I think it's really cool. There's the thing. It's going to sound dumb, but the thing I'm most excited for. There's loads and loads of clothes you can wear.
There are.
Loads of jumpsuits. I'm well up for that.
There's even on the opening after you've chosen your backstory. I think there are 6 different types of outfits you can wear, sort of from there, and they're all sort of pretty different and stuff. Like red leather jackets and jeans, and one of them is a suit. One of them is just like a hoodie with jeans, and they're all. Whilst they're all, you can link all of them to each of those person's backstories. That every outfit is available to every person. Just it doesn't matter sort of which one of those backstories that they're chosen, which is kind of cool.
Brilliant.
And this stuff, the levels are just sprawling, and they genuinely look fantastic. You've got the bit where there's one part where there's a PAX robot that's on the ground, and Deck 13 have said that they're putting in alternate ways of taking down bosses. And Co went exploring a little bit more, and he got up onto this rooftop, and he unlocked this sort of canister that was on above the sky, which had got 3 electric robots in it, like spider robots, and they all dropped to the ground, and they walked towards the PAX and they took it out.
Yes, which
is fantastic. If you're the sort of person that doesn't like boss battles and quite fancies, really likes exploring and stuff, I love that stuff.
Yeah, it gives you a reason to explore. And also, it's like the thing's giving you trouble, there might be something around that will help. Really clever. I like that a lot. That was one of the things that stood out for me as well. I really thought that was cool. But no, as Co was saying on the thing, it seems to be they're taking all the stuff people have said, didn't quite like that, and going, all right, cool, let's try harder.
Yeah, and how neat is that they've listened to the audience, and all of the decisions that they've made smart decisions. I wouldn't have said that anybody would have been suggesting the For Honor mechanic, but I think that parry system is just belting. The weapons look great. It was nice to see old favourites crop up on that video run, and new stuff along the way as well. It just looks neat, and I'm excited to see humanity falling apart in this sort of suburban way. And as far as I can tell from some of the stuff that I've seen, you've got that woodland area that's beyond the city, but there's also some sort of dusty kind of deserty wasteland as well at one bit.
Ooh, hell on the gear, that. Ooh, hell on the gear.
So it looks super cool, and I think it's shows a lot of confidence in the game that they've been sending out these builds, which apparently is like a 4-hour build, but Co went like, of course it took me about 8 to 9 hours, because he was just going through everything. Even when it said, congratulations, you've come to the end of the preview build, feel free to wander around, he was still finding stuff. So
and while things look faster, like while I was watching, it does look a little faster than the Surge 1. it doesn't look like they've gone, and it's really hard now, lol. Like, it looks doable.
And I like
I think that's like a lot of the Souls-likes get wrong, is they're like, oh, look how difficult this game is. No, I want to play the game. I don't want to not be able to play the damn game.
I like that it's still got weight to it as well. That's something I really appreciated in Demon Souls, and I think that Dark Souls went a little more arcadey and felt a bit looser and faster, and I like the physicality. And the Surge has definitely got that physicality to it. You are like somebody that's carrying around like a huge, essentially a mech suit on your back, and I for me it makes combat more thoughtful.
Measured.
Yeah, and I genuinely adore the combat in this, which is why I love going around and just grinding for tech scrap anyway, because it's fun to just chop the fuck out of things and find
and then spending those piles of metal scrap.
Yeah, but it looks essential.
Yeah,
it genuinely looks essential, and I'm so excited to continue this story. And I know you were saying like you got like a little bit of a Metal Gear vibe in certain ways, and
a bit, yeah.
But the chance to get another issue of this, to get another like trade paperback of this, to to continue the story and see a different. To
get
part
volume
of the world.
2 of the 2000 AD collection.
Yeah, you get the way though. I'm genuine. It's not. Oh, let's rip the roots out of everything that we've made, or let's ignore that, or the fan base are really rallying around that character, so let's just make that a lie. It seems to be like, everything that you found out in the first one, look what happened elsewhere.
Yeah.
And if what I've seen is correct, and I can't say it is, but there's one kind of guy sending you on missions in the preview build who I can't say for certain, but does seem to be Warren. If it is Warren, I will be just overjoyed, like I'm embracing a friend. to say that I wasn't asked that there was an actual character in this, like way back.
Yeah,
I will be overjoyed to see Warren, because I've been through this with my boy. I've found out why he joined up. I saw him go through the process of getting those things bolted to his body, getting him thrown away. I saw all the characters. I went through that journey as and with Warren, and so that is a little bit of trepidation for me for being me in the second one. But the chance to hopefully meet up with Warren along the journey is dead exciting for me, because that for me seems like I'm meeting somebody that I've already been. So I know all about you, mate. You're my anchor. If you are in the second game, you're my anchor between, my connection between the two. So,
do you know what I want to hear in this as well? I want to hear the Medbay music again.
It's in there.
I love the Medbay music. Have you turned it back on, or have you still got it off? Turn it back on. No, please.
It's horrible.
No, please. Because just do it. You'll see why.
Okay.
Just do it, and then near the end of the boss, it's not in the fight. It's later on, but it comes up again, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
All right then. Yeah, I'll do that.
Turn it back on for a bit. Just get the flavour of it, and then when you've heard it again, let me know.
Okay.
It's clever.
Well, I'm going back through the game again, sort of finding the bits that I've missed. There is the thing with the first game that part of me seems really reluctant to say goodbye to it. I've genuinely loved it that much.
Well,
plus it is kind of cool just wandering back to, going back to early areas and just goes, remember me? Britney's back, bitch.
Well, there's a new game plus, and apparently that first bit with Warren in it, where you're kind of wheelchairing through stuff, there's signs that shit's going wrong.
What?
That aren't there. Like, there's bloodstains going into vents, and there's apparently signs that people are sort of starting to kill each other.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Also, this is one more for me. You can one-bro it.
Oh.
You can core power 10 it. Because core power 10 is if you see anything with an overload slot of 10, that's like a story related one that you can't miss.
Got you.
10s are the only ones that you like. Everything else is like optional, but the 10s are the minimum you need to get through. So you can beat it at 10. I'm tempted. try it.
I understand that you would be, and I'd be interested to see. How
Fuck, is this my life now? Like, find a thing I like and then make myself suffer through it.
Oh my god, you got good.
It happened. Fuck.
Yeah, but I mean, I need to continue this story, and I can't underline that enough. I need it. We're about 8 weeks away, unless we manage to get review copies, and believe me, we are trying. If you've enjoyed the shows, please tell Deck 13 and Focus Interactive about us.
Yeah.
But the game's gotten under my skin. I haven't been this worked up for about a game individually, but also a game coming up just for a long, long time. So
I've gone from naught to hype.
Yeah.
Would you say that our hype levels have surged?
Hey!
Hey! Boom!
And on that note, the only thing I've got to say is meow, 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 meow. Goodbye, podcasts.
Bye.